Ladies and gentlemen, it is Monday, December 8th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on today's Owen Report. Well, President Trump has just finished up a cabinet meeting, and mostly they were talking about this new bailout. A $12 billion bailout plan for the farmers. And it's becoming a trend with this administration, bailouts. And truth be told, it's because I think a lot of the things on tariffs and a lot of the promises that were made as far as investments are concerned are very hollow right now. Very hollow. And so it's funny as we're sitting here looking at this, a $12 billion bailout plan for the farmers since the tariffs didn't work and he had to cut deals with China and Argentina and other countries to try to move some of the tariffs in the right direction. All right, we're bailing out the farmers. We're bailing out the people that make our food. I don't really think you can complain too much about that, but we've already bailed out the banks. We've already bailed out the education institutions. And now we're also going to look at a $900 billion defense budget, a $900 billion defense budget, in which what's being reported so far about this bill, the NDAA, $8 billion for private security. Well, I guess not private security, but you get what I'm saying. $8 billion security budget for President Trump. And they want another $400 billion for Ukraine defense spending. Outrageous. Outrageous. So all of this is being talked about today ahead of Christmas. We'll look into all of that. Are grocery bills going down? Are gas prices going down? Are energy costs going down? We'll talk a little bit about that. But how they can sit here and push another $400 million for Ukraine when we all know the money's getting stolen, when we all know it's a giant money laundering operation, and then they're just going to do it again. They're just going to say, it doesn't matter, we're going to do it again. Well, Don Jr. is going to weigh on that. We'll have an update there. A couple other things out of this administration, including what role is the administration having in this? Now it's a bidding war for Warner Brothers between Paramount and Netflix. And now President Trump said he's going to be involved. We know Jared Kushner is involved. We know Israel is involved. They're in the side of Paramount with Keith Ellison. He's basically an Israeli representative. I don't know. He's about as close to an unofficial representative for Israel that you could have, followed by Barry Weiss. So you know they're going to get their say in it. Does this have anything to do with the TikTok deal, by the way? Well, Hillary Clinton had something to say about that. Interestingly enough, we'll talk about that. Some drama, or I guess rather more drama, between President Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene this weekend. Marjorie Taylor Greene goes on 60 Minutes and tells her side of the story. Folks, I warned you. I warned you this was a bad thing for Trump. He should not have gone against MTG. Now the cracks are exposed, and MTG is taking swipes. Now she won't be the last, by the way. No, she will not be the last. What about Jasmine Crockett? Rumors are she wants to run for Senate. I'll tell you what that's really all about. People are missing that story. I'll tell you what's really going on with that. And then a little update on the gerrymandering that's going on. A family member of Caroline Leavitt is going to be deported. You know what? Good. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why that's good. Oh, boy. More from Netanyahu. More from Randy Fine. Pope Leo as well. Going to weigh in today. Lot of news topics. Lot of different topics today on a Monday to start the week. And then you know what? We still got some leftovers from this weekend. We may try to tackle some of those leftovers as well on a Monday. All of that and more coming up on today's Owen Report.
This news update was brought to you by OwenSchroyer.store, the official site for Owen Report merchandise.
All right, friends. MyPatriotSupply.com/Owen has something happening right now for Christmas. And, well, they're really in the giving spirit, you might say. Or they want you to be in the giving spirit, perhaps. Check it out right now when you go to MyPatriotSupply.com/Owen. Check out everything you get when you say yes to the buy one, gift two. Buy one, gift two. You better be in the giving spirit this holiday season. You better be ready for Christmas. The buy one, get two Christmas special. Now, first of all, here's what comes with a 4-week emergency food supply that we want you to have to at least start, if you haven't yet, to at least start the process of getting ready for an emergency. Preparedness items, including storable food. Every couple minutes, another Prepared Patriot adds this specific food kit to their emergency stockpile. Why? Well, because this food is 2,000 plus calories a day, up to 25-year shelf life, provides 100% of your daily intake and 12 essential vitamins and minerals, 16 delicious and filling meal and snack varieties, quick and easy, just add water and heat preparation, lightning fast shipping. And by the way, folks, the quick and easy here, just add water and heat. You're thinking, well, how is that really quick and easy? Well, that's because they make sure you're taken care of with this. Just listen to some of these different food items that you might find in there. Buttermilk pancakes, Maple Grove oatmeal. That's just for breakfast. Home-style potato soup, creamy chicken rice, spaghetti with meat sauce. That's just for lunch. Mac and cheese, chili mac, creamy stroganoff, an orange energy drink mix, so much more. All you got to do is go to MyPatriotSupply.com/Owen. Be in the giving mood for emergency preparedness. Buy one, gift two Christmas special happening right now at MyPatriotSupply.com/Owen.
Turn my system on.
On the cutting edge of news and analysis, the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
Play again, kid.
All right, starting off the week here on a Monday with a cabinet meeting from President Trump. It was mostly uneventful, I would say. I don't think it's going to develop too many headlines or too many clips. But yet there it was. There were some interesting things that came out of it. But the big thing that we are looking at is this $12 billion bailout plan for farmers. Now, this wasn't supposed to happen. This is supposed to be the greatest economy ever. Are we going to start throwing in Jack? Have we reached that point of this administration? Come on, Jack. Greatest economy ever, Jack. Are we in Jack territory? Are we talking to Jack here? Sorry, but the bank bailouts, the university bailouts. By the way, the bank bailouts were done in total secret, total hush-hush. Barely a blip on the radar. But no, that's happened. This is the first year of the administration. Bank bailouts, college bailouts, and now farmers bailouts. Now, look. Let's just look at this neutrally and say the bank bailouts. All right, well, we got a problem. We got a problem with debt, not just from the country standpoint, but from the citizens' standpoint. We have a major debt problem. And when you look at the amount of individuals defaulting right now on loans, it's a record. It's a record high. You now have more people ever late on their energy bills. There's more delinquencies on energy bills now than there's ever been. So everybody's behind. On average, everybody's behind. And the economy is turning into an economy of the haves and the have-nots. Now, I will say, and I have said this is the one area on the economy where I'm willing to give this administration some time, and I'm willing to give the administration the benefit of the doubt here and say, well, let's see if you can get things done before the midterms, because that's going to be the most consequential moment, which they continue to believe that they're going to see. And you have Dave Ramsey kind of doing a media round right now, and I don't know if that's intentional or if he has a book coming out, but he's been everywhere in the media, and he's been talking about how he does believe that the economy will finally start to see the positive effects of the Trump administration policy. Well, we can wait for that, and we'll see. A bailout of the banks, you might argue it had to be done. You might argue that if you let these banks collapse, that it's going to be a domino effect in the economy, and so Trump doesn't want to see that happening. Now, you can take a principled stand and say we're sick of bailing out the banks. I'm with you on that. But yet there it is. It's done. It's happened. Banking bailouts, banker bailouts by this administration. Then you have the college bailouts. This, to me, is a non-starter. This, to me, is a complete and total loss, especially when you're doing it, it appears, at the request even of the Chinese communists, because that's the direction the responses were going. Well, we need these Chinese students here. And we need them here because they're the only people that are willing to pay for a college education. Less and less Americans are interested in paying for the education. Less and less Americans are willing to go into debt, take out a student loan. So we now have to bail out the colleges. To me, that's a zero. I'm not interested in that whatsoever. I don't want to hear about that. These colleges have so much money. It's absurd. It's obscene, even, how much money these colleges have. Especially the big guys. They got so much money. You could build stadiums with how much money they have. And yet they just build football teams. Pretty nice universities, too. Happen to have one of them right here in Austin, Texas, by the way. So I don't think you can really excuse that. The banker bailouts, boy, that's, but you can excuse it. You don't like it. It's not a good sign. But all right, you can see why. The college, university bailouts, no. Don't find any good excuse for that. I'm not buying it. I don't like it at all. And maybe we'll actually come back to the college argument in the third hour today, as how much money these colleges are making are in the news today. Of course, this is about sports. We're talking about athletics. But no. If these universities are short on money, if these universities need a bailout, then I'm sorry, we need a further investigation here. We need a much bigger investigation if the universities are somehow short on cash. What is the average university tuition now per year? Like 20, 30 grand? That's probably cheap. I'm probably going way under. That might be in state if you're lucky. So you're probably looking at closer to 50 or above for most universities. And they're short on cash. A lot of these universities have a record number attendance right now, or they're flirting with it. Why are they short on cash? So Trump bails them out. And Trump says we need to keep the communist Chinese access to the colleges here open for them because that they need it and we need it, or the colleges would go under. So I say let them go under. All right, so there's two bailouts. One, banker bailout, we don't like it, but okay, maybe we see the need. College bailout, nope, we don't like it and we don't need it. And now there's the farmer bailout. Now, of all three of them, I'm more for the farmer bailout than any of it. And in fact, I look at things. You look at the budget of this country, and you start to prioritize, you realize that not only is the budget and the priorities in the budget totally out of whack, but you realize we have more than enough money to pay for the things we need. We have more, we're already a socialist country. The problem is we just don't benefit from the socialism. The rest of the world benefits from America's socialism, not the United States of America. At least not to the degree that we should be. It's the rich that benefit. It's the special interests. It's the foreign interests. They're all benefiting from American socialism. They're all benefiting from you, the American slave, paying 30% of what you make in taxes. Bailing out the farmers, I have no problem with that. Honestly, I don't even care if we have a federal budget for the farmers. Call me a communist. This whole system is so out of whack. If I'm about to spend another $1 trillion, and that's the number, 900 million, if I'm about to spend another $1 trillion on this defense budget, including $8 billion for presidential security, then yeah, you know what? I think $12 billion for the people that make sure we can eat is probably okay with me. Now, the argument in response to this is it's a sign that the tariffs have failed. It's a sign that these deals with these different leverage points that Trump has used against China or for Argentina in order to prop up their agriculture industries or their beef industries, this seems to be the other side of that. This seems to be the other side that has hurt American farmers, and this is President Trump trying to fill that hurt with cash, trying to fill that void left by the bad tariff policy with cash. I'd say I'm okay with it. All things considered. Now, again, I'm against big government spending, but you look at the pantheon of all the things that are developing, I'm fine with it. I don't mind bailing out the farmers one bit. In fact, I'd give them $20 billion. Give them $100 billion. I'll give American farmers $100 billion before I give Ukraine another penny. So yes, even though I think it's a sign of bad policy, even though I think it's a sign of trying to fill a void with cash, which this administration loves to do, Trump loves to do. This is number one thing. That you could even say he caused the first inflation with Biden, but he was smart enough to leave office and let Biden take the blame for it. But we'll let bygones be bygones. I'm not going to cry after giving hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine that we're giving $12 billion to our own farmers. I'm not going to complain about that one bit. The problem is when you sit here and you cut checks like this seemingly all the time, that's how you end up $40 trillion in debt, which we will be next year. Yeah, folks, you know, the debt issue is so insane now. I'm not even sure we're going to be in a position to pay it off ever again. And they keep talking about deficit. You can cut into the deficit without cutting into the debt, and that's where it's going right now. Even if they reverse the deficit, all of these payments now are going to the debt, and it's mostly the interest. The interest payments on the debt annually are about to go north of $1 trillion. So this is all, it's all fake. It's literally the entire American monetary system is all fake. So what is it? What's the real value? Is it gold? We're not backed by gold anymore. Gold prices are skyrocketing. Is it land? Is it real estate? Is it trade? Is it commerce? Is it energy? Is it oil? Well, it's kind of all of these things combined. And that's why BRICS is setting up a parallel system. And that's why the EU set up a parallel system to try to compete with the U.S. dollar. But this system of bailouts and debt, eventually, folks, it collapses. Eventually, it just gives out. It's impossible. I'm not sure this debt is ever going down. It'll be $40 trillion next year. And then it'll be $50 trillion by what? 2030? So it's really just, If any individual behaved like this financially, if any individual was so reckless financially, they'd be bankrupt. Their business would be bankrupt. They wouldn't be able to get a loan. They wouldn't be able to buy anything. They wouldn't be able to have a credit card. But the U.S. government, baby, stronger than ever. Stronger than ever on that deal. So $12 billion billion bailout plan for farmers. So this is all in response to the farmers complaining about the tariff policy, the trade policy that hurt them. This is all about Trump trying to fill that void and solve that problem with cold, hard cash. I guess it works. This package is set to include $11 billion in one-time payments to crop farmers. So again, I'm okay with that. Give the farmers some air. Give the farmers some security. Give the farmers some cash. I got no problem. But when you look at the entire situation with all the bailouts and all the spending, that's the problem. That's how we end up $40 trillion in debt. That's how we end up with $1 trillion annual interest payments on the debt. That's why even if we reverse the deficit, we won't be able to stop the debt. But I guess the cabinet meeting was fine. Yeah, no, it's the same thing. Trump is the greatest of all time. Trump cares more about the farmers than anybody. It's like, oh my gosh, I saw Trump was out in the fields. Trump was out there picking crops. He loves them so much. He's the best crop picker. I saw him out there. He was picking the crops, throwing them around into the back of the giant trucks and hauling them off. He was driving the John Deeres. He was planting seeds. My God, that Trump. He was on the tractor. I saw Trump. He was on the tractor. He was plowing the fields. That's basically the meeting today. And then they would take questions, and, Trump got to pick out the couple people in the media he just wanted to whoop on, just wanted to beat him up. All right. Entertaining enough. Entertaining enough. But what about those beef prices, huh? What about those beef prices? Are your grocery bills going down? They might be, but not if you buy beef, not if you're buying steak. So I'm screwed. But I go to the farmer's market, and I guess their prices are probably going up a little bit too. Beef prices. This is Lynn Alden. I believe she's the author of Bad Money. What's the name of her book? I got it in my library here. It's about 2,000 pages, Lynn. Thanks a lot. Beef prices look like a meme chart lately. Those meme coins that go like 5x. There's your beef prices right there. What caused this? Now, obviously, some of this is inflation, but this is just since 1985. So I don't think inflation is up. I don't think inflation is up that much since 1985. Maybe half of that is caused by inflation. So what's the other half of this caused by? What's the other half of beef prices going up almost 6 times in 40 years? I guess that'd be 40 years now. Isn't it weird when you try to do that math in your head? Because we've crossed it over now. It's like the 2010s, you do the math. It's like, okay, everything's 20 or 30 years. Now you're into the 2025s. Now it's 30, 40 years. You're like, oh my God. So in 40 years, beef prices have gone up 6 times. So the grocery bills might be going down, but not if you're buying beef, not if you're buying steak. So who else out there is like me? Our grocery bills aren't going down, are they? I'm not cutting out steak. I'm not cutting out beef. I won't do it. Look at me. I'm a beefcake. Need more beef. So your grocery bill might be going down, but you can't be buying steak. Then there's the defense bill. There's all types of stuff in this defense bill. Compromise defense bill stymies Trump on Europe troop withdrawals. Who's negotiating this stuff? And so they're saying Trump wants to get the troops out of Europe. All right, that sounds great. Oh, no, we can't, though, because, we're so involved in these countries, and we're about to send another $400 million to Ukraine. The NDAA would also repeal a pair of decades-old war authorizations and proposes $8 billion to boost Trump's defense budget. Why is this? Decades-old war authorizations. Why am I stuck here in decades-old war authorizations, war policies, foreign policies? I can't even get away from World War II cultural history here. I'm stuck. I'm trapped. It's like a vortex. I'm trapped in the Cold War era. I'm trapped in the Middle East. I'm trapped in all this different crap. It's like you can't even end these wars. Trump wants to end these wars. Now they just keep going on. Even when you do try to end them, they go terribly wrong. Look at Biden and the pullout of Afghanistan. A disaster. But this is how they rob you. They keep you trapped. They keep you trapped in these prior decades, and they just extend its necessity and just say, oh, it's still necessary for these things. It was never necessary. Have you seen the NATO budget? The United States of America pays for 70% of NATO's budget. Why is that? It's a decades-old foreign policy. It's a Cold War foreign policy. I thought the Cold War was over. Well, we gotta put that into the defense budget. We gotta keep that spending alive. Do we? Yeah, don't you know anything? You're an isolationist. Yeah, you're right. I am an isolationist. I don't pay my neighbor's bills. Do you pay your neighbor's bills? I'm just curious. Do you stand outside your neighbor's house with a gun protecting their property? Do you set up a security camera at your neighbor's house? Or do you just do that for your own house, your own property? You isolationist. You're an isolationist. You don't want to pay for foreign countries. You don't want to pay for foreign wars, isolationist. Oh, I'm an isolationist. Tell me. Let me see. Let me see all of your neighbors' bills that you've paid. How many neighbors' bills are you paying right now? You paying their electric bill? Huh? They on your Netflix account? Come on. Come on, tell me. You paying their energy bill? You paying their water bill? You isolationist? Are you paying for a security team outside your neighbor's house? You dirty isolationist. Unpacking the $900 billion annual defense bill. What's in? What's out? More money for Ukraine. Gotta have it. Congressional leaders on Sunday released the text of the 2026 National Defense Authorization Act. It's going to be a fun one to watch them debate. A compromise defense policy that fully repeals sanctions on Syria. Oh, that's funny. So now that al-Qaeda runs Syria, now that the proxy groups run Syria, now that the intelligence agencies run Syria, now we're going to repeal the sanctions. Amazing how that works. Isn't it brilliant? When Assad was running Syria, the actual leader of Syria, an actual Syrian that wants to run Syria and protect it, well, we decided to get rid of him, put in the intelligence agency asset who was running al-Qaeda, who was one of the top wanted terrorists in the world, had a bounty on his head for $10 million. We put him in charge of Syria, and now we're going to relieve the sanctions. So Syria has a real leader in Assad. We sanction you because he doesn't cooperate with us. He's not part of our team. What team is that? I don't know, but he's not on it. So we're gonna have a hostile takeover of Syria instead. We're gonna have tens of thousands of people killed, mostly Christians. And then we're gonna take Syria over. We're gonna put the head of al-Qaeda in charge of it, and then we're gonna remove the sanctions because that's good foreign policy. So that's all cooked in here. Seeks to put restrictions on withdrawing service members positioned in Europe and provide some military assistance to Ukraine. Well, just $400 million. It's not that much. It's a couple $100 million. Come on, calm down. And we can't even get troops out of Europe either. We're never bringing the troops home. Never bringing the troops home. Good for budget. Good for spending for a country $40 trillion in debt. So it just sucks. That's all. Full repeal of Syria sanctions now that the CIA and Mossad run Syria, so we don't need to sanction it anymore. That's nice. Restrictions on U.S. investment in China. A win for China hawks in Congress. The NDAA includes legislation restricting U.S. investment in adversarial countries that would benefit their development of technologies that can modernize their militaries, increase surveillance tech, or contribute to human rights abuses. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that the U.S. government is trying to stop human rights abuses. And I'm so glad they're consistent with that measure, too. I'm so glad that the measuring stick for human rights abuses is the same no matter what country we're talking about. Isn't it nice to get that consistency from the administration? Very nice. Very good. By the way, this is all decades-old policy, folks. They're protecting intellectual property in the United States, it's dead. It's over. That's all gone from the 90s and the early 2000s. We got sold out long ago, folks. We got sold out by the Clinton administration, and we got sold out by our friends in the Middle East, by the way. And then we got sold out again by the Obama administration, by the way. So this idea of protecting intellectual property or protecting tech, it's all gone. It's all gone. These measurements are $1 short and a day late. But I guess you got to put them in there anyway. Ukraine, $400 million in 2026, $400 million in 2027. So actually it's $800 million. Excuse me. Get your numbers right, Schroyer. I was going to say $400 million, that's a little light. That's a little light. Let's double it up. Let's go $800 million. This is despicable. Our Congress is despicable. Here's an idea. Let's cut that from this bill now. You know what? This is going to be a debate, by the way. I don't know. This is not going to go quietly. There's going to have to be compromises. Let's see what goes down when it comes to a vote. I don't think this is going to go so smoothly. I got to be honest. I don't know if there will be enough making noise, because at the end of the day, it's all about numbers in Congress. And you really only make noise if one of two things is true. You really only make noise in Congress if, one, you want to take a true stance, an ideological stance, a moral stance, a principled stance, whatever it is. If you want to take a true stance against something, then, okay, you make some noise. Then you amplify the volume. So that's one time when you'll see people raise an issue is principled moral stance. It does happen in D.C. It's rare, but it does happen. And then the other stance, what do you think? You're thinking, oh, well, it's money or it's donors or something. Well, it all kinds of plays in. But no, it's really just a matter of numbers. And I'm talking about votes. So sure, they'll measure the donors and everything else, but it's all about votes in Congress. If they know that they have enough votes, or if they know they have enough votes in Congress where it's going to fail, then they'll So if they know that there's enough votes to pass this thing, then you're not going to hear much noise. If they already have the votes, if Johnson already has the votes, if Schumer already has the votes, whatever it is, whatever the combination of votes needs to be, because they're all crunching the numbers. They're all going to crunch the numbers. And then they decide, well, if there's already enough votes for this thing to pass, then most people are just going to shut up. They're just going to not say anything. Unless they want to go to number one, which is just a principled stand. But if they see that the votes are already in and this thing's going to pass, they're not going to raise a fuss. They're not going to try to stop anything from happening. They're not going to call out $800 billion for Ukraine. So it'll be interesting to see what happens now. I imagine there's going to be pushback. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene is somebody, we'll cover her coming up. She's got nothing to lose. I mean, to me, stopping the Ukraine aid is a positive. no matter what side of the aisle you're on. The Ukraine aid is unpopular, maybe more popular on the Democrat side, but taking it up as a political issue in the midterms, probably a winning stance. So let's see who wants to make noise about this. The only person I've seen make noise so far, and I'm sure I'm missing some, but the only person I've seen making noise so far today is Anna Paulina Luna. She is the only one I've seen make noise on this. Now, I would imagine you'll probably hear something from Rand Paul. I would imagine you'll probably hear something from Marjorie Taylor Greene. And then we'll go from there, and we'll see what happens. Thomas Massey. Those are the ones who might raise an issue. But let's see how that develops. Restrictions on troop withdrawals from Europe. Yeah, we can't bring the troops home. We can't do that. The defense bill would bar the Department of Defense. Isn't it the Department of War now? So I thought that. Did we change that? The defense bill, the war bill, the War for Ukraine bill, would bar the Department of Defense from dropping the number of U.S. forces deployed or permanently stationed in Europe to under 76,000 for more than 45 days unless the Pentagon can certify that NATO allies are consulted and the drawdown is in America's national security interests. So that's all about NATO. I see. That's all about the money laundering operation called NATO. I wonder for the troops, and this is a legitimate wonder. I'm wondering for the troops that are stationed over there, which is a lot. In fact, many of you probably know somebody that grew up on one of these bases or lived on one of these bases at some point in time. I wonder how they would feel about that. Would they like to come home? Would they like to shut it down? Or do they kind of enjoy the experience? Do they think it's maybe a positive non-necessity to be over there? I'd like to bring all the troops home is what I'd like to do. I'd like to bring all the troops home and address the wars in our streets. I'd like to bring all the troops home and address the wars at our borders. What's out? Expansion of IVF coverage for military families. The Georgia sanctions bill. Lawmakers nixed a bill to sanction officials in the country of Georgia determined to be undermining stability and security. That's probably some deal with Trump trying to cut a deal with Russia. That's not the state of Georgia, just to clarify. Housing support. The NDAA doesn't include a comprehensive bipartisan package pushed by members of the Senate Banking Committee aimed at making housing more affordable for Americans. Well, that shouldn't be in there anyway. Central bank digital currency ban. Oh, we got to have that. We got to have the central bank digital currency. I thought we were against that. A House leadership aide said the efforts to include a ban on central bank digital currency fell apart amid negotiations over the bipartisan housing package. Oh, you're going to get that central bank digital currency. Oh, this is why they won't give it to the Department of War. Let me come back to the CBDC real quick. Language to rename Defense Department. The massive bill does not include any language to rename the Defense Department to the Department of War. So what is this, ceremonial? So we have the Department of War, which is actually officially the Department of Defense. So the Department of War is just a ceremonious name, just a DBA, just a doing business as. Yeah. So the executive order is not being respected here. That's good. This is what you need to understand about the central bank digital currency. Now, you could make the argument that for all intents and purposes, we are already in the central bank digital currency, which is not inaccurate. Meaning right here on my phone, just like you, right here on your portable spy device, your portable spy droid here. Very nice spy droid. Thank you very much. Staring at me right now. It gets to watch this show firsthand. Unlike you have to tune in through the internet. So what this new world order is attempting to do right here is make it so that you can't have any transaction Any personal transaction, peer-to-peer, without the government getting involved. That's what this is all about. You know, what's so crazy about this? The government doesn't have a soul. The government doesn't even really have a body. There is no such thing as a government. It's an idea. It's a concept. We all have to sign on to it. We all have to agree to it. But it's not actually there. There's buildings and there's people. And there's policy. But there is no soul that is the government. It's just people. So it's weird that there's this like push as if the government is some sort of an entity, like an actual unique entity in and of itself that has a soul and has desires to spy on you all the time. And this is how you know there's a deep state. This is how you know there's a shadow government that's running this whole campaign. It has a desire to be able to spy on you 24/7 and to watch every transaction you make. And it's crazy because, again, there is no such thing as a government. There is no entity. There is no soul. And yet you see the premeditation here. You see the premeditation of where things are going. Just think about any other premeditation for a change in your life. Oh, I'm gonna paint my cabinets, so I got to clean them first. Whatever like that. I'm going to go do a detail on my car. I got a bunch of clutter and stuff. I'm going to clear out the clutter. That's you predetermining something. Like, this is what I want, so I need to do this first. This is how the New World Order is operating. It wants to put everybody onto this plantation. It's a digital plantation. It's a surveillance plantation. It's an AI plantation. And it doesn't want any human activity untraced. Zero human activity can be untraced. So you got to carry this around with you right here in your pocket, your spy droid. Now you've got your smart TV that spies on your home. Now they have cameras on them too. They have recording devices on them too. They already built these into your computers, your laptops. So it already exists. You're already spied on everywhere you go. Your cars now, smart cars. Cars are now interactive. Cars are now connected to the internet. In fact, most of the cars, it's the same story. Most of these cars now, you actually don't even control anymore. How many of you still drive a car? And maybe you've noticed the difference where you push the gas and your car goes. No. Now you push the gas and that sends a message to your car that then accelerates. There's a middleman. It's not just you and the car anymore. It's you and then whatever this digital interface with the car is, and then the acceleration. So there's this premeditation. It's like, all right, we're already going into this world. But first, we have to set up the right apparatus so that when we get into this world, there's no wiggle room for you. Think about who's thinking of this. Say, well, it's the government. Yeah, but there is no government. It doesn't exist. It's people. It's money. It's policy. So who are the diabolical criminals? Who are these people that think they're the slave masters of the planet, the stewards of the planet, if we're being nice? Well, it's Bill Gates for one. And I don't know if I ended up putting this story in my final stack today. I think it's somewhere in the bottom. So I'm not sure if we're going to get there. But Bill Gates talks about it. Others talk about it. Larry Ellison talks about it. So they're building all these different policies and all these different apparatuses so that there's no wiggle room for you. You want to go and buy something, the government's going to watch that. You want to go watch something on TV, the government's going to watch that. I can't even, who goes and puts in a VCR now? Who goes and puts in a DVD? No one. What are you doing? You're streaming. You're streaming. So you see, even as silly as it is, it's still a good representative. Even the relationship between you and your television is now an apparatus spying on you with a middleman involved in the transaction. So in other words, I just can't go plug in my TV and plug in a DVD or plug in a VCR and just watch my TV. Now you plug in your TV is connected to the internet, and then whatever you do on your TV to watch a movie, a TV show, whatever, it all goes through the middleman and then onto your TV. Same thing with financial transactions, same thing with driving your car. So that's what it is. It's all about building this huge digital spy apparatus so that eventually there is no wiggle room for the man, the human element, the citizen, to be free. Everything you do will be spied on. Everything you do will go into your social credit score. Everything. There's no way out. You won't be able to pay in cash. Now, if we don't respect, this is inevitable, by the way. Unfortunately, this is inevitable. I don't think there's any stopping it. But what we can do is we can decide whether or not we get options to opt out. That's what we can decide right now. I should still be able to go make an exchange, a cash exchange, and not have to worry about the government getting involved. I should be able to do that. Now, the central bank digital currency ban is part of that. So, we're not going to ban central bank digital currency because we plan on going all the way in. See how that works? But pretty soon it'll be, you won't even be able to exchange cash with somebody. They'll ban cash. And I make a joke of it, like having to go through the internet or go through your TV to watch a movie or a TV show. No, they'll at some point probably try to make like DVD players illegal. They'll call it contraband. Because somebody has to be involved in that transaction. It's too dangerous to let the human decide what it watches without some oversight, without somebody making sure it's all above board. And then once you get to that point, then they just decide what you can have access to and what you can't, what documentaries are available, what's not. We're already seeing that. We're already getting a taste of that. Same thing with driving. Same thing with your car. You know, the invention of the car and then the affordability to let every American have access to a car, it was maybe one of the biggest steps in human freedom, the expression of human freedom in world history. Now you can get up and drive your car and you can go anywhere you want. You can travel hundreds of miles, fill it with gas. It's just you in the open road, baby. Just you in the open road. And as long as you're not getting pulled over for speeding, no intervention, just you in the open road of America, baby. God bless it. Well, now you get spied on 24/7, and your car spied on you too. So it's like, how do we navigate this and say, all right, we need to be able to opt out of this world. The world is already being built. We're free market capitalists. So out of principle, it's hard for us to come in here and say, let's use the government to stop this for our own agenda. But we can look at our government and say, hold on a second. You have an obligation to protect our constitutional rights. And we see the world that's getting built. And we know our constitutional rights are being violated every single day, especially the right to privacy. What are you going to do? Do I have a right to privacy to make an exchange of cash? If I want to call my neighbor and say, hey, can you get your landscaping company to come over here and trim some trees and mow my grass? You know, we do a tree trimming service. We'll mow your grass. That's great. He comes over here, trims my trees, mows my grass. Says, all right, we're done here. It's be $250. All right. I give him $250 cash, and that's it. That should be it. That should be the end of that transaction. But that's why they want to make cash illegal, because somebody else got to get their cut. Somebody else got to get their cut. So, see, this is why they want the central bank digital currency, so that way they can see that transaction. They say, oh, hold on now. We got you down right here. And it'll all be run by AI. So it doesn't even need the human element. The one thing stopping it right now is that there's not enough humans to run this thing. And people don't want the job anyway. It's like some of the worst work is, and these people actually do this from some of these intelligence agencies, most of them foreign intelligence agencies. And they'll have people just sitting around spying on you 24/7. And that's their job. And they've got the clearance to do it with the Five Eyes. And they got the clearance to do it. They passed the bill last congressional session, 5 degrees of separation, so they can basically spy on anybody they want. So they already got that. So there are people out there that will be told to just spy on you 24/7. But the truth is, for the entire world, for the entire country, they just don't have the human element. It just doesn't exist. So they need AI to do this. And that's why you have these payment services that are cooperating with the IRS now. That's why you have Stripe or Venmo. They have an AI algorithm cooked in because they've all decided they're going to cooperate with the IRS. So they don't have people going in there and watching every transaction. They have AI doing it. And then the AI turns that over to the IRS, and then the IRS sends you a letter saying, hey, you need to explain this financial transaction. So once you go fully into this, it's all going to be run by AI. There's not even going to be a human element. So they're going to say, now hold on a second. We see that you paid your neighbor $250 here for a service, but you didn't pay any taxes for that, so you owe the government taxes. And then the service provider didn't pay any of their taxes either. And actually, we looked deeper into that. It turns out that they're not even properly regulated. Yeah, in fact, we saw that the lawnmower that was being used is actually an illegal lawnmower. It's gas-powered. So they're actually going to have to pay a fine for that, too. And then they're going to need to pay their taxes, and you're going to need to pay. So see, instead of just a simple $250 transaction of me paying my neighbor to trim my trees, now the government's going to get involved, and they got to take a squeeze from me. Now the government's got to get involved. It's going to take a squeeze from them. And then the government, because it's feeling extra squeezy, is going to take an extra squeeze because they don't have the right weed whacker or the right lawnmower. And it's all going to be powered by AI. And there's going to be no opting out of it. And the Trump administration is building this entire thing on top of your head. And the Trump family has all of its assets lined up so that they're going to profit billions, if not trillions, when it's all said and done. And it's all of Trump's friends and business partners who are also properly allocated in these assets, in these industries, that when it all goes permanent, there's no getting out of it, and they're going to be richer than ever. And yes, this is Donald Trump doing this. 100%, not even up for debate. And that's part of this whole thing where they don't want to have states regulating AI. And part of it makes sense. I can understand part of it, but when they say, well, we're doing this because we don't want to lose the AI race. We don't want to lose the AI race to China or to anybody, so we can't have any regulations on AI, which would be fine. Which would be fine if this was just raw tech and we were just going to develop this raw tech, but it's much more than that. It's the implications are way bigger than just an advanced tech. We're talking about an advanced tech that they're trying to interweave into your daily lives. So it does need a little options as far as regulation is concerned. It probably does need a backstop, if not a front filter. But the Trump administration is saying, nope, no filters, no backstop, no nothing. And by the way, all my friends and family are positioned to make billions of dollars in this process. So that's what's going on there. Now, this spending bill took up pretty much the whole first hour. I did not anticipate that, but I think it's important for people to understand all of this. When we come back, we'll dive a little deeper into these numbers when it comes to Ukraine and the spending in Ukraine and then the outright corruption of what is happening with this money. And that's why it's even more offensive. That's why another $800 million, and it is $800 million being proposed. It's $400 million for 2 years, so it's $800 million. When you look at this corruption, and Don Jr. is going to talk about it on the other side, who actually seems to be the least involved in the family business right now, actually. I don't know. Maybe Don Jr. is just kind of having fun and doing his talk show right now. Eric is really involved. And I like Eric, by the way. I like Eric and Laura. I think they're great people. But Eric, really smart businessman, really savvy businessman. He's positioned his assets and the Trump assets all ready to take off like a rocket with all this policy on AI and all this new foreign policy, like a rocket, folks. So he knows what's going on. Kushner, exact same deal. In fact, we'll have something on that coming up. But it all lines up with the Defense Authorization Act. And I don't know. You'd think they'd want to do something about the central bank digital currency. I'm surprised they aren't. I do expect that'll come up in conversation, though.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
All right, guys, have you done it yet? Have you gone and checked out my friends at blackoutcoffee.com/Owen? Coffee drinkers out there, what are you waiting for? What is taking you so long? I'm just curious. It's the official coffee of the Owen Report. You already know that. And the options there, they've got it all. They've got it all for you. Now, this is just the single-serve pods. So you got options in coffee now. It's not like the old days where you just had to brew a pot and that was it. You had no other options. Now you got options. You've got single-serve pods with all kinds of different flavors, by the way. All kinds of different flavors here at blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. You can go with your normal type of coffee, your medium roast, your dark roast. But they've got these flavors now, especially for the Christmas season. Can I just tell you, for the Christmas season, what kind of Christmas season flavors do we have? A pumpkin spice flavored coffee. A pumpkin spice. Are you into the pumpkin spice? A lot of ladies probably are. They got a pumpkin spice flavor for you. We got a peppermint mocha, a winter wonderland, an eggnog. Oh, that one sold out. People really liked the eggnog. Candy cane flavored. Apple cinnamon French toast. I don't know if that fits into the Christmas season, but it's there anyway. It's there for your enjoyment either way. These are just the single-serve pods, ladies and gentlemen. These are just the single-serve pods. That's one way to consume your coffee. Of course, you know me. I like the instant coffee. I'm on the go all the time. I'm flying around like a madman. I might be a madman sometimes. So I like the premium instant coffee. And when we say instant, it's instant. And when we say premium, we mean premium. So you got that option. Or you can go with the classic. You can go with the classic bags from blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. The dark roasts, the medium roasts, the light roasts. It's all at blackoutcoffee.com. But by the way, I did have somebody inquire. We do have the mug. We do have the mug right here. And I guess this would be considered like a traveler's mug, like an outdoorsman mug. It's not a ceramic mug. It's one of those mugs that you kind of travel with, like a tin mug. But that is actually available. People see it. It's the unofficial mug of the show. There it is right there, featured at blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. You can get that mug. People are inquiring about the mug. It's all at blackoutcoffee.com/Owen, the official coffee of the Owen Report.
Extra dimensional and multi-universal. Here's your host, Owen Schroyer.
So you got apparently Alina Habba is out, and I think that this is a lot of oversight stuff with this administration, and maybe it's the same reason why Lindsey Halligan had the case tossed. I don't know. You don't want to think it's all done intentionally, but Alina Habba is out as top federal prosecutor in New Jersey, so that was short-lived. And we'll see if they try to keep her around, or she might just accept a Fox News gig. That wouldn't surprise anybody either. You've got Trump opening NVIDIA chips to China. I think Trump is doing a favor to his friend, the president and CEO of NVIDIA. That's kind of what I see there. Because really, I'm looking at the story right now, because really, NVIDIA, or rather the president of NVIDIA, Jensen Huang, am I saying that right? This story, man, what happened? What happened to journalism in this country? It's like it's dead. Honestly. I'm looking at this story right here. Let me see if I can put it on screen. Now, I actually went to journalism school. And I'm sorry to do this. You probably don't even want to hear this, but I can't help myself. This is semaphore.com, which does great work, by the way. I follow their news, but I'm just like, does anybody have any classical training ever at all in media anymore? Like, is there anybody that actually got any professional training in media anymore? And maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. It's just like, I'm looking at this. They don't even tell you the name of the president of NVIDIA. They don't even tell you his name in the picture. I mean, folks, this is literally like chapter 1 of published journalism. Like chapter 1. If you're going to publish a picture, you have to say what's in the picture. And really probably the date and the location of the picture. We don't have that anywhere. Okay, fine enough. I guess I won't complain. They give credit. So that's like the basic thing you do, is give credit to the picture. But then, like, you're here talking about NVIDIA, and you don't even mention the guy's name in the picture or in the story. What are we doing, guys? Can we do better here? And maybe I'm just frustrated because I always forget his name. It's Jensen Huang, I believe, is his name. And so I'm looking for this story to bail me out here, and they can't do it. Jeez. Anyway. Yeah, Jensen Huang, who's probably done some of the most as far as commitments to Trump is concerned. He doesn't get any love in this story. Nobody says his name. The writer here, Reed Albergati. I like you, Reed. I'm sure you're great. You're a great guy. But you don't even mention his name anywhere in the story, so that's odd. Commerce to open up exports of NVIDIA H200 chips to China. So here's why I think this is happening. Huang has invested so much in the United States. He's made so many commitments to President Trump. He's been so over-the-top supportive of President Trump, yet I don't think there's the deliverance yet. And now the deliverance is getting a little sketchy. So Huang is saying, hey, you got to do me a favor. I've done you all these favors, and there's no deliverance yet. Can you open up my chips to China? And the Trump administration gave the nod. That's what I see happening here. Huang has done so much to deliver for this administration, and it hasn't delivered back. It's kind of like the same reason why they're bailing out the farmers. So Huang is like, dude, you got to do something for me here. I'm getting killed. NVIDIA stock is like, it's really strange why NVIDIA stock is so low. And I'm not giving you stock advice. But let's just say that's one I'm looking at and parking, because I think NVIDIA stock is way undervalued. And maybe Huang is sitting in there like, dude, Palantir stock is soaring. All these other stocks are soaring that your administration is working with. Mine, not so much. I'm not getting any deliverance on my investments yet. We can't even build. Nobody's even breaking ground on these chip plants. We've got some data processors up. Most of that's for Bitcoin mining. It's just cheap tech. We're not even talking about the advanced data centers, quantum computing, AI, which is just going to sap all the energy out of our grid. We're not even prepared for it. So Huang is like, dude, you got to give me something. So they said, all right, we'll let you sell your chips to China. We'll open up that pathway. We'll open up that market. So that's what I see happening. NVIDIA was down today, last I checked. NVIDIA was down. It's got to be up now. Let's see where it's at. I can't help myself. I may or may not have moved on NVIDIA when it was down today. With this news, you'd think it'd be up. Oh, yeah, there it goes. So now we're up about 2% today. That's still like nothing. Tremendously undervalued there. So that's what I see. I see Huang saying, dude, I've put in a lot here, and I'm not getting a return. And so Trump says, all right, sell your chips to China, and that'll help. All right, that's where we're at now. We need China. We need the Chinese economy to bail out the people that are trying to help the Trump economy. Hey now, winning. You're going to be so tired of winning. You're going to be so tired of sending money to Ukraine. You'll think you're winning. Swamp moves to hand $400 million to Ukraine as Zelensky government faces corruption scandal. Guys, it's $800 million. I just want to be clear here. It's actually $800 million. It's $400 million for the next 2 years. I just want to make sure we're getting that right. Because I don't see that in the headlines. I see $400 million in the headlines. The number is $800 million. Swamp moves to hand another $400 million, $800 million, $400 million a year the next 2 years to Ukraine as Zelensky government faces corruption scandal. Oh, yes. Most people know the whole thing was a money laundering operation. Now, get this. Folks, I'm going to get a little conspiratorial here, but I can't help myself. I'm reading between the lines. Trump says he is disappointed that Zelensky hasn't read U.S. peace plan for Ukraine. U.S. president claimed that Zelensky's people love it in a new attempt to place pressure on Kiev to accept deal. All right, what does all this mean? Zelensky hasn't read it, but Zelensky's people love it? Does it mean anything? Is it just Trump blowing hot air, or does this mean something? What could it mean? Trump says Zelensky hasn't even read U.S. peace proposal as tensions mount. Trump claims Zelensky has not read the latest U.S.-backed peace plan yet. It's uncertain which version of the peace plan for Ukraine Trump was referring to. It's all very uncertain. Remember that Trump just had an envoy meeting with Putin just last week, not limited to, but including his son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Trump's comment came a day after talks between U.S. and Ukrainian officials ended in Miami without an agreement. I believe that was Rubio's team in Miami with Zelensky's envoy. And then Zelensky met with the EU leaders, the NATO leaders in London today. So a lot of meetings. But apparently, Trump says Zelensky hasn't even read it. Now, okay, let's try to unpack this. If Zelensky actually hasn't read it, then what are we doing here? Why? Did Zelensky not read it because he doesn't want to read it? He's too busy to read it? Does he know he's just going to reject it? So what's the point? And then why would the administration come out and say something like that? And he says, Zelensky's people love it. Does he actually know that? Has one of, who are Zelensky's people? Did one of Zelensky's people read it and say that they like it? Is he just saying it's a great deal for Ukraine and the Ukrainian people support it, so he should? It's a little unclear. But what's not unclear is that Zelensky now at this point is being pressured, I would say, not to take the deal. Not to take the deal. And I think you have the Ukrainian oligarchs who have made more money than they've ever had in their lives off of this war. You have Ukraine's friends in the European Union that love all the money that's coming in from NATO spending, of which 70% is U.S. taxpayer funded. So they don't want this to end. They like this. They profit from this. But what if something else? What if, and I'm just getting conspiratorial here, I can't help it, but I do think there's this fed up nature with Zelensky, maybe even beyond fed up, maybe even suspicious, untrusting. What if, just what if, and this is crazy, but who knows with this administration? Who knows with Donald Trump? He says he hasn't read the bill. Now, or he hasn't read the peace plan. Now, do you think Zelensky would actually admit to that? Is that something Zelensky would say, oh, no, I haven't read it. I have not read the deal. Like, okay, Zelensky, we've got the peace plan. Do you like it? Have you read it? I've not read it. Do you really think he would admit to that? Call me crazy, and maybe I deserve it. But I'm starting to think that they sent Zelensky a peace deal, and they put stuff in there that they knew would elicit a response and didn't, and so therefore they're assuming he hasn't read it. What if it was a test? Say, we're going to send Zelensky this deal, and we know when he reads it, he's going to respond because he's going to see these things, and he's going to say something. And if he doesn't, then we're just going to say he's a dishonest dealer, he's a lazy bum, and he's not even trying for peace. Does that sound crazy coming out of my mouth right now? Does that sound insane being broadcast into your ears that the Trump administration would troll Zelensky by sending him a document to see if he would read it, trying to elicit a response, and then he doesn't respond, and they just say, wow, he didn't read it, this bum, this liar? How crazy does that sound going into your ears right now? Now, here's Don Jr. I wish there was more of Don Jr. on the team, but this is probably why there's not. He's in Doha at that big controversial. You know, part of me's like, I kind of want to go to Qatar just to watch the hilarious reaction. You know? I would do that for you. That's how unselfish I am. I would go to Qatar and take pictures just to watch the unhinged, hilarious response from people in the American media. Just for you, I would do that. I would make that sacrifice for your entertainment. It's too bad the World Cup isn't going there. Then maybe I'd have a better excuse. It's coming here instead. I kind of like the weather over there. But I don't know, how long is Trump going to be around to stop Israel from bombing Qatar? So maybe not so much. Okay, all kidding aside, the Doha Forum, a bunch of big names there, Trump administration names, Tucker Carlson, Don Jr. Listen to what Don Jr. says here about the Ukraine money laundering operation. And, Don Jr. knows a thing or two about the high-end lifestyle, let's say, and where to find it and how to notice it in Europe. Listen to what he says, and I think the conclusions being reached here are pretty obvious when it comes to all the money going to Ukraine.
Things I got to witness. I was this summer with my beautiful girlfriend Bettina in Monaco, and we were driving around, and on an average day, 50% of the supercars, the Bugattis, the Ferraris, this, all had Ukrainian plates. Do we think that was actually earned in Ukraine? I'd been to Ukraine 20 years ago. It wasn't like there was a plethora of wealth there. And yet, you see the number two there getting arrested for stealing hundreds of millions of dollars. You hear all the rumors about what's going on. When I see every license plate on a supercar in Monaco being Bugattis, the rich fled. They let what they believed to be the peasant class fight these wars. And there was no incentive to stop, because as long as the money train was coming and they were stealing it and no one was auditing anything, the leaders, the decision makers, there was no reason for them to ever come to peace. Things I got to witness. I was this summer with my...
So it all adds up, doesn't it? It all starts to make sense. Zelensky not reading peace deals. Russia's won the war. There's no winning it for Ukraine at this point. The only win for Ukraine is stopping it now. You probably saw this viral thread. You know, I often wonder how much of my audience is on X and how much isn't. Because if you're not on X, you probably didn't see this. But there's this viral trend about Latvia. And I guess the women in Latvia are considered some of the most beautiful women in the world. To me, I don't even know if it's a looks thing as much as it is a health thing. I think American women are just more unhealthy, and that's why some countries in Europe where women are healthier, they tend to have a higher reputation of more beautiful women. Regardless, there's this story about Latvia and how there's a 15%, I think it is 15% differential between the ratio of men and women. So it has the highest ratio of women to men is in Latvia. And, they sell it off like it's all these hot blondes, these thin hot blondes, and, they're well endowed and everything. And I don't know if it's, it's like, I don't know if there's an angle to it or whatever, but it's this trend. It's this trend of Latvian women, they need a man. Come to Latvia, men, and find a woman or go help with house chores is one of the things. They say they'll pay you. They'll pay you. These women will pay you to go over there and do house chores for them. Yeah, house chores. You interested in house chores? Or you're interested in choring the house? I get the feeling that next year, when this data is updated, the highest ratio is going to be Ukraine. The amount of loss in Ukraine right now is staggering. The amount of loss of men in Ukraine. So what you're going to have, it's actually sad. It'll be Russia too. So for the American men out there, you can't find an American woman that satisfies the desires. You can't find an American woman that is conservative enough, feminine enough, traditional enough. Yeah, you're going to be going through digital marketplaces. You're going to be going through digital catalogs looking for an Eastern European woman. And American men are going to find, because they've already discovered this, like East Asian women, they're going to find, if you're looking for a traditional role, conservative role wife, yeah, people are going to start cataloging through Latvia and Ukraine and Russia, just like they've been going through these Asian countries to try to find an actual, feminine, traditional lifestyle woman. So that's going to be the new trend. But aside from that, it's quite tragic. And these leaders in Kiev, these leaders in Ukraine are some of the most diabolical people. They've sold their country out, folks. They've sold their country out. They've let hundreds of thousands of young men die. Really, outside of the Kiev oligarchy, most of the young Ukrainian men are dying. They're dying in this war that they could never win. Also, the United States can launder money and weapons through Ukraine. Also, the Kiev oligarchs, Zelensky's friends, can make out with hundreds of millions of dollars. Also, they can launder these weapons into Syria and into these proxies armies to overthrow Assad. And now we have it going on in other wars as well. And they let hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians die. And it's really sick how the media reports on this. It's really sick how the American consumes this news. Because it's never proposed like that. It never comes across their news wire like that. It's always, we're standing up to the bad guy. We're standing up to Putin. We're standing up to the authoritarians. No, you're not. None of that's true. And, it's hard because just like most countries, you're going to have people that like their political leadership and you're going to have people that don't like their political leadership. So you do have to be sensitive to that. But the more I look at what Vladimir Putin is doing geopolitically, the more I like him. The more I like him. And I know plenty of Russians have issues with his economic policies and plenty of issues with some of the other problems they're having with geopolitics. And then the bullying that happens from the geopolitical culture oh, Russia can't be in the Olympics. Russia can't be in the World Cup. Russia can't compete. And if a Russian athlete's going to compete in an international competition, they have to use a stupid international flag, and we're not going to play the national anthem. It's like no one else has to deal with that. No one else has to deal with that. Israel could kill 1 million people, and they would never have to deal with that. But it's never proposed to you that way. Nobody sits here and thinks about how the Ukrainian oligarchs and the Western military-industrial complex has let hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians just get slaughtered in this war. They don't even care. They don't even tell you. So let's start another one, huh? That wasn't enough. Let's start another one in Venezuela. Huh? U.S. troops stage new combat drills in Panama as Venezuela standoff grows. Now, there's other rumors coming out as Venezuela that the military is seeing a surge in membership, the biggest of all time. Maduro is celebrating a surge in new military recruitment, unlike anything before. I mean, it's very easy. You give a country a bad guy, people will volunteer for the military. Now, you'll have people, they'll push back. They'll say, well, it's not voluntary. He's forcing them to do it. Either way, it's the same story. You give a country a bad guy, and your military support will increase. So that's happening in Venezuela. So, okay, over the weekend, you may have seen this. You may have seen this over the weekend. Rand Paul requests, I want to see the evidence. I want to see the boats. I want to see the drugs. I want to see the drug dealers. Well, he got what he wanted. He got what he wanted. And, of course, Fox News got the exclusive. What I tell you last week, they get all the exclusives here. It's the Fox News administration. So they shared this video with Fox News. They gave him the exclusive. And this is a drug boat. Look at the nice curve on that earth. Look at the water bending with the curvature of the globe here. That'll get them going. It's a beautiful, nice round. Notice the water rounds with the earth, the ball earth here. Okay, so let's just say, no, here is a drug boat and the drug dealers with the exclusive given to Fox News. Here it is. Look at this. So you can see the sniper here fires a warning shot, and then eventually they're gonna give themselves up. They're gonna give themselves up, and they're gonna go on there. Their hands are in the air, and they go seize the boat. So this is how it's done. This is from the Department of Homeland Security. So to me, this is how it's done. This is what we asked for. This is what should be happening. This is how we should be handling these drug boats. This is the humane way to do it. This is the right way to do it. So Rand Paul comes out and says, hey, I want to see it. So they produced it for him, and there's this weird thing happening in MAGA where it's like, oh, we got you, Rand Paul. It's like, ha, Rand Paul, look, here's that video you asked for. And it's like, how is this an own on Rand Paul? This is Rand Paul getting what he asked for. This is Rand Paul doing his job. This is Rand Paul getting for the American people what they need. This is Rand Paul doing the administration a favor, quite frankly. And I expect more of this, and there should be. But it's this weird MAGA cult now. It's like, oh, like, gotcha, Rand Paul. What do you mean, got you? He got you. This is exactly what Rand Paul asked for, and he got it, and it was the right thing to do. Thank you, Rand Paul. We should all be thanking Rand Paul. This is how it should be done, and I would hope that from here on out, this is how it is done. Now, we'll see if that's the case or not, but this is the right way to do it. You can seize these boats, and you can show the American people exactly what you're doing and how you're doing it, and that's how it should be. So I'm celebrating Rand Paul, but here's the MAGA call. Ha, Rand Paul. Ha, you're so stupid. We got you. What is wrong with you people? You should be thanking Rand Paul. And he just did you guys a favor, by the way, forcing this out there. Here's an interesting one. Trump administration moves to deny visas to fact checkers and content moderators. Action detailed in a State Department memo directs officials to deny visas to any applicant engaging in censorship. Oh, I love this. Yeah. Anybody that doesn't respect free speech to the utmost degree, you're not welcome in this country. More of that. You know, freedom of speech is obviously one of the most important things for me, obviously. And I'll never forget. There's two things where I'll never forget. And maybe I can forgive. Maybe I can forgive. Maybe not. But I'll never forget. And that's when somebody comes out against free speech. I don't need to take notes. I don't need to keep receipts. I'm not the best at that. I probably should be, but it's kind of like so much of what you do in life is out of necessity. So much of what you do in life is out of necessity. So I just happen to have a photographic memory. I've been blessed with that. Thank you, God. So I don't have to do like the receipt keeping that a lot of people do. It's like, that's just there. And there's two things I never forget, and that's people that support war. Either way, whether you view it as necessary or not, you can have the debate. But people that support and celebrate war and death, I never forget that. I always remember who you are. It's a smart thing to know who they are. And then those who also push for censorship of speech. I never forget. Anybody that comes out against free speech, I will never forget. And I just so happen to be at the center of this issue for about 5 years. From the censorship of InfoWars and Alex Jones to being a speech prisoner myself. So that all happened really in less than 4 years, but about 5 years that process went down from 2018 to 2023. So I got to see it. I got to see who celebrated the censorship of InfoWars and Alex Jones. I got to see who celebrated the imprisonment of Owen Schroyer for speech. I'll never forget him. And there's one guy, I hate to do this to you, California, but you deserve better. And we talk about foreigners that don't support free speech not getting into this country, and maybe they should be deported. And one of them would be Steve Hilton, who is running for governor of California right now. He celebrated the censorship of InfoWars, in case you didn't know. He did. Do you want that as your governor? I guess it's better than a Democrat. I guess it's better, but he's from the United Kingdom. Stephen Hilton is from the United Kingdom, and he celebrated the censorship of Alex Jones and InfoWars. Now he's running for governor of California. Just thought you should know. I'll never forget that. So the Trump administration is cracking down on this. I say good. I don't want anybody in this country that doesn't respect free speech. I don't want you anywhere near my country. State Department to deny visas to fact checkers and others citing censorship. Yeah, a great move by the administration. They're complaining like it's a free speech thing. Shut the hell up. All of you fake liberals. All of you fake liberals out there. Oh my gosh. This is an attack on free speech. This is an attack on the First Amendment. Shut your mouths. You guys are the kings of censorship. You guys are the fact checkers. You guys are the censors. No, see, Trump, the administration is doing the right thing. Yeah. I'm sorry. If you don't respect the First Amendment and maybe the Second Amendment too, if you don't properly respect our beliefs in free speech and right to self-defense, then I'm sorry, you're not going to be a citizen here. Sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. Not sorry at all. You're not an American. You're not even close. And you don't even deserve to be in the conversation or consideration to becoming a citizen of America if you don't respect free speech and the right to defend yourself. So, bye. No. Not back of the line. Out of the line. Not back of the line. Get out of the line. Not coming here. I fully support this. We need to have way more of an emphasis on this. Way more of an emphasis on freedom of speech when it comes to who we let into this country. Because, you know, we let in a lot of foreigners that become judges, by the way. By the way. Now, Pam Bondi's got some trouble here. And it's all her own doing. Domestic terrorism, leaked DOJ memo targets anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, anti-Christianity. So it's here's the problem. Now, this is a DOJ memo, so it's not even, there's no policy here, at least yet. A leaked memo by the U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi directs the Justice Department and FBI to compile a list of groups that may be labeled domestic terrorism organizations based on political views related to immigration, gender, and U.S. policy. Ken Klippenstein obtained the memo. Yeah. So here's the problem. It's just a memo. It's just a memo, and it's likely an act of desperation from an attorney general's office that is just, I mean, approval ratings is like the least of their problems, and their approval ratings are in the tank. They can barely close a case. Nobody trusts their investigations, and Bondi has basically gone 0 for 100 as far as things that she's supposed to deliver on. So they go around and they do victory laps for the things that should be everyday activities, arresting criminals, busting drug traffickers and human traffickers and all that stuff. It's like, no, that's the expectation. This administration, we have big expectations. So not just the normal. We're looking for super normal stuff here. And you're not able to do it. So my guess is this is a DOJ memo that Bondi sends out to try to get some positive coverage, ironically enough, with the media. And so she's like, oh, hey, you know, we're making lists. Oh, great. Conservatives love lists. I guess they do now. Oh, we love putting people on lists. So this is Bondi, who has failed. She has failed to dismantle the radical left street terror network. She has failed, as far as we can tell, to have an effective investigation into where the money is coming from and where it's going and how they organize and industrialize these street riots. She's done nothing. It's a zero. So she thinks, oh, I know. I'll send out a memo. And this just shows how, I'm sorry, this is Pam Bondi. This is dumb blonde, legally blonde Pam Bondi here again. She just keeps playing the stereotype. Oh, I know. Like, I'll send out a memo. I'll send out a memo. And I'll tell everybody how we're making lists, because we haven't delivered at all. We haven't dismantled the left-wing terror organizations one bit. I don't even know if there's an investigation. It might be on my desk. So I'm going to send out a memo, and we're going to talk about putting these people on lists. And it's going to be a memo, and it's going to get nice, positive attention from the media. And people are going to talk about how smart I am for putting out the memo to put people on lists. That's how I see Pam Bondi thinking about this. So she sends it out, and instead the left-wing media gets a hold of it and says, oh, look, Pam Bondi's going to be putting Americans on lists. Nice. Way to go. This lady is so incompetent that it's beginning to become unbelievable. It's becoming a circus show. Honestly, this kind of writes itself. Pam Bondi is like a walking SNL skit at this point. Pam. Why are you talking about putting Americans on lists? What are you doing? What are you doing, Pam? How's the investigation on George Soros going? How's the investigation on the Soros funding and money network coming along? Now keep this in mind, guys. Twice now, we've been told that they have massive investigations and advancements on this. They've delivered nothing. Now, I could say, all right, they're building their investigation, and so we got to wait on results. Well, when I see a leaked DOJ memo talking about targeting individuals that in my opinion, are free speech protected expressions here, it's totally within your free speech to be anti-America, anti-capitalist, anti-Christian. That's totally within your free speech. So to go after the individuals here on the left for what is really protected speech and expression, this woman is out of her league. She's spiraling. She's turned into a complete abomination of justice. How's the investigation on the Soros money? How's the investigation on the Act Blue money? Where's that investigation? I don't want to hear about some low-life liberal. I don't want to hear about some college liberal that joins a group. I don't want to see a list of some college libtards that are anti-Christian, anti-American, I don't want to see that. Show me your investigation into the Soros network. Show me your investigation into the Act Blue network. Hell, go back to the 2016, 2017, 2018 stories of those networks with David Korn and those organizations funneling money back and forth to different groups, taking 10% off the top with every transaction. Come on. Come on, Pam. What are we doing here? By the way, you can go find journalists that have already done all this work for you, like Andrew Carr. They've literally already done the work. How's the investigation in that? Hey, here's one for you. How's the investigation into the Biden crime family with 10% for the big guy? Anything on that, Pam? Oh, I've got a list of 21-year-olds and 20-year-olds and 23-year-olds, and they've posted stuff on social media that shows they might be anti-Christian. Oh, thank you. Great. So glad. That'll solve the problem. That'll be what does it. How's the trade policy going here, guys? Well, it's not looking so good. China's trade surplus with the world tops $1 trillion despite tariffs. So is China winning the trade war, it would seem? Well, we're bailing out our banks, our colleges, and our farmers now. So, yeah, it would look that way. China's trade surplus with the rest of the world has topped $1 trillion for the first time. News that calls into question the effectiveness of developed countries and especially President Donald Trump's attempts to stem the flood of manufactured goods flowing out of China. Well, you're going to have to cut taxes here. You're going to have to cut regulations here so that it's competitive to even manufacture and produce goods here. And once you do that, then you can be competitive with China. But until you do that, you're never going to change anything. But it looks like, maybe what's happened here, maybe China's stranglehold on this was a lot stronger than anybody anticipated. Because it would seem that what you're going to have to do, take, who's a big guy? Take Nike. Take Nike. And you say, how many Nike goods are made in China? What percentage of Nike goods are made in China? In fact, maybe we can just get an answer of that. Maybe AI can give us an answer. Do you trust AI with these answers? I usually don't, by the way. It's been proven. It's like once you get one thing wrong, I can never trust you again. But let's just see if they can give us an idea. So AI tells me about 20%. About 20% is made in China. Also Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand. It looks like Vietnam has actually overtaken China as the number one manufacturer now. Used to be China, it's Vietnam now. And then Indonesia. So, okay. So you take something like that. What is it going to take? And I mean, maybe you even use Nike as a test case. Nike is an American company. Anybody that plays sports in America is probably buying a Nike product. So maybe you take Nike and you say, what is it going to take? What do we need to do for you to manufacture shoes and apparel in the United States. How do we do this? I'm pretty sure NFL jerseys are Nike. Are they made in America? Probably not. So if I'm Trump, I'm calling up Nike and I'm saying, all right, guys, what do we got to do? What do we got to do? Our athletes are all wearing your products. Our kids are all wearing your products. You go to the gym here, everybody's wearing your products, whatever. What do we got to do? Is it so deeply embedded in the East now? Is it so deeply embedded in China? Is it so deeply embedded in Vietnam and Indonesia that they just can't pull them back? Are they just like, hey, we're so invested now, we're so, our footprint is so deep here now, we can't really, there's nothing you can do, really. 0% corporate tax rate, tax breaks, incentives to build the manufacturing plants. I mean, I don't know. And maybe this was underestimated. Maybe the administration thought, hey, we can just change some policies and we can make it more inviting or affordable for companies to produce and manufacture in the United States. And that might be true. It might even be working, but then how do you bring them back? They're all gone. How do you bring them back? Maybe that wasn't addressed. And who's addressing this other than maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene? By the way, this is from The Atlantic. It just shows you how they'll run cover and then admit the truth. And this was June 2021. So when people really started to look at BlackRock, this was after the pandemic and they shut down the economy and the housing prices and everything. And BlackRock and Vanguard and State Street and all these groups came in and brought more private equity than ever before. These groups have a larger percentage of the real estate market than ever before, than any private group has ever had in America. So they would have stories that they'd run to pretend like it wasn't happening, like this in The Atlantic, June 2021. BlackRock is not ruining the U.S. housing market. It's not happening. Oh, but now it's now it's December 2025. This is today in The Atlantic. Private equity is America's new landlord. Is there someone to blame for the housing crisis? Yeah. Probably the very group that you said not to blame 4 years ago is probably the one to blame. Isn't that amazing? Time flies. Things come at you fast there at The Atlantic. So there's this crazy bidding war now. Everybody thought Netflix had it, and then Paramount stepped in and said, not so fast. What's going on with this? Well, it's the Trump administration, and they're pulling strings again. Jared Kushner is part of Paramount's hostile bid for Warner Brothers Discovery. So everybody thought the deal was done with Netflix, and then Paramount said, hold on, not so fast. Now, Paramount is just buying everything up left and right. It's really amazing how Paramount is just moving in everywhere. Paramount is telling Warner Brothers shareholders that it has a smoother path to regulatory approval than Netflix. And Kushner's involvement only strengthens the case. So now it's David Ellison, it's Larry Ellison, and it's Kushner trying to stop this deal from going down with Netflix. Now, I could sit here and say, oh, well, maybe we don't want Netflix to take over Warner Brothers. Maybe you don't want Affinity Partners, which is Jared Kushner's private equity firm. Maybe you don't want them with Paramount and the Ellisons moving in to take it over either. So it's like you could have your opinion on that. And it's Netflix, they're going to do the deal no matter what. But I'm just curious, what is happening here? And by the way, they're trying to get foreign money. So for what Paramount is desperate to make this deal happen. Affinity Partners, that's Kushner's company. And now Paramount is moving over and they're looking for funds from Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, and Qatar. Folks, this is strange. This is strange. Now, there's no doubt that the Netflix deal had a political bent to it, and that's leftists. Leftists, liberals, progressives that run Netflix. They wanted to move in, and I'm sure they had a creative thing beyond just the money. I'm sure they had a creative desire to get in there and get access to all the things that Warner Brothers has exclusive creative rights to. So why is Paramount so desperate to stop that and for them to move in? Is it a political thing? Is it a geopolitical thing? It seems like all the moves that Ellison is making are geopolitical. And so they're helping the Trump administration because they're moving all this money around and they're working with Trump, and Kushner is involved. So the Trump administration, the Trump family has their own benefit from this whole thing. But then there's Larry Ellison, who's obviously an extreme advocate for Israel, and now he's buying up more real estate in the media market than anybody else right now. Is there a geopolitical twist to that? Is it like the TikTok deal? And there's Kushner. There's Kushner in there again. It's too much for me. So a lot of drama going down there. Now, Trump said this. He was asked about the deal at the Kennedy Center Honors. And here's what he said.
Should they be allowed to buy Warner Brothers? Should Netflix?
Well, that's the question. They have a very big market share. And when they have Warner Brothers, that share goes up a lot. So I don't know. That's going to be for some economists to tell. And also, and I'll be involved in that decision, too. They have a very big market share.
Did he make any guarantees to you
Trump is going to be involved in that decision. Let's hold that thought.
about the merger? If they do merge?
No, not at all. He came up. He was in the Oval Office last week. I have a lot of respect for him. He's a great person. But he's done one of the greatest jobs in the history of movies and other things. He's got a lot of interesting things happening aside from what you're talking about. But it is a big market share. There's no question about it. It could be a problem.
Mr. President, you
So here's what I just heard. The Trump administration is going to block this deal and give it to Ellison and Kushner. That's what I just heard. And they're going to say, and I bet you if somebody crunches these numbers, it'll all turn out to be bullshit. But they're going to say it's a monopoly style law. It's a monopoly style law or clause that says Netflix can't buy this deal. And so the Trump administration will step in and block the deal and let Kushner and Ellison take it. That's what I just heard. That's what it sounds like is going to happen to me. So you have to wonder what spurred this. What's the origin story to block Netflix from making this deal? And then it's Kushner and Ellison that come out of nowhere to say, oh, no, it's going to be us. And Trump says, yep, I'm working this deal. And his son-in-law is about to get involved. And now you've got Saudi Arabia and Qatar and Abu Dhabi, and that's who's going to back this deal so that they actually have the money to do it. Because I'm sure Ellison is rich and he has plenty of assets, but how much cash? Can he put forth the cash to make a deal like this right now? It sounds like he can't. So here comes Kushner. And then here comes Kushner's friends in the Gulf states. Ellison can't make the deal. He's too thin. He's spread too thin right now. He's already made a bunch of deals. He's thin. So then what does Kushner get out of this? Why are we getting the Gulf nation states involved in a Warner Brothers takeover? This is everything we're supposed to be standing against, folks. And I'm not here standing up for Netflix or anybody. I'm just saying it's like, what are we doing? It's all oligarchs. It's all the haves and have-nots. And if I'm going to get conspiratorial for a second, what I see happening is the people in the know, the true power brokers of this world, or maybe you just want to limit it to the United States. It's almost as if they know something big is coming. They know something big is coming. And maybe that something is two things, where it's like they know there's a two-front collapse that's about to happen. And one front of that collapse is the economic collapse. So it's like everybody's kind of betting on the economic collapse right now. So I don't need money. I need assets. I need real estate assets. I need media assets. I need assets in the data world, in the AI world, in the quantum computing world. So everybody's moving out of liquid into assets right now. And all the assets that they're moving into are going to be the cornerstones of the New World Order whenever this collapse happens. So it looks like everybody in the know and everybody that has the capital to prepare for this to be the kings in the New World Order, that's what's going on in my eyes. That's what I see happening. They all know there's an economic collapse. So they don't need cash. So screw cash. Assets all day long. Go to $0 if you have to. And get as many assets that are going to be the cornerstones of the New World Order. So that's what I see. So I guess they figure, hey, we'd rather have our friends and our allies with these assets than the people at Netflix. Are they Americans? Who knows? Who cares? It's for us. The future will be ours. And then maybe in a heavier, darker way, they know that it's something even bigger than that. They know there's an existential crisis about to hit planet Earth, whether it's a organic thing or an inorganic thing, or whether it's something that happens all the time or something that they're going to make happen this time. It's like I could get real conspiratorial with this. And it could go anywhere from a crash of the markets, from a digital cyber attack or something else. So it could be a real crash because it's bound to crash. It could be a synthetic crash to send us to the next level that they caused themselves, and they're all just positioning themselves right so that when it does crash, they all have the perfect position to be in the pole position for the New World Order. Or they know that there's some cataclysm coming. Again, a digital cyber attack, another EMT from the sun, maybe, a cataclysm, a major event, a flood, anything. And they just know it's coming. Or, again, organic or inorganic, they know it's coming. So they're just positioning themselves to be ready for that. That's what this all looks like to me. It looks like there's a race. It looks like there's a race happening to get into the pole position because civilization as we know it is about to come to an end, whether organic or inorganic. Civilization, human civilization, the human race on this planet, the economy, everything, it's all about to come to a crashing end, and the New World Order is coming. And so it looks like everybody's getting themselves into the pole position right now so that when that happens, they're in the position to be the kings and the kingmakers. That's what it looks like to me. That's what I see happening. And I think that's this deal here, and Ellison being over all of this with Kushner too, that tells me it's like why are they doing all of this? Is it really about money? They have more money than they know what to do with. Is it about power? Nobody can even wield this much power. I think it's all about getting in the pole position. They know everything's about to collapse. So they're just getting ready for that collapse and then putting themselves in the position to be ready to basically take everything over when it happens. That's what it looks like to me. That's my conspiracy theory of the day, if you will. I don't think it's that crazy. I don't think it's that crazy. Maybe it's a war. Maybe it's a giant war. And they're just positioning themselves with everything. And I kind of look at Elon Musk as the other side of that. Where Elon Musk is on like the pro-human side. He's like on the pro-civilization side. So he's kind of positioning himself to be ready to prop up that side of the spectrum. It's like, here's the side of people that really don't give a shit about humanity. They'd rather crush humanity. They'd rather see their bloodlines go on and everyone else's bloodlines cease to exist. Whereas I think Musk is more on the other side of that spectrum. He's saying, no, I want a pro-human civilization. I want humans to be around and to thrive. And so let's have a system that can support humanity. Versus the other side of the spectrum is let's have a system that's going to collapse and crush humanity, and then we'll sit on top of its pile of skulls. That's kind of how I see this all breaking down. We'll get into some other news, some health news, some other geopolitical news. Oh, we're really going to get into the spat here. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Trump. We're going to have that coming up heavy here in the third hour.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
All right, guys, I got to tell you about this image I saw on the internet while I'm telling you about my favorite water filter here? Because I have to promise you this will never happen. There's a bunch of advancements happening in the world of water filtration. It's true. But a lot of these water filters from the future are too much from the future. What am I talking about? Okay. Let me pull this up. Let's take the old CovePure off the screen here. We're going to take that off the screen. And let me put this up there for you, because I'm going to promise you this will never happen. So apparently somebody's water filter here stopped giving them water because it was not connected to the internet. What? So the servers were down. This was a couple weeks ago. You remember when all the servers were down? You remember that? And then some people's internet went down, and then some of their web services went down. Well, apparently some of these water filters are connected to the internet. They're connected to some of these web servers. And if the web servers go down or the internet goes down, if there's some sort of issue there, your water filter doesn't work. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. Don't even put yourself in a position for that to happen, folks. That is not going to happen with your CovePure CP16 system. Can I just tell you that? It's not going to happen, okay? It's not connected to the internet. It's not spying on you. I'm wondering, are these water filters spying on you now? Not this. You just plug it in. That's all you need to do. Replace your filters when they need it. Refill the water tank when it needs it. No connection to the internet. Never going to shut down. Never going to tell you no. I don't want a water filter that's going to tell me no. Never going to happen. Never going to happen with the CovePure water filtration system. And, you know, I still have my two systems running in my house. I still have my gravity filter, my ceramic filter that I'm actually about to shut down, I think. But I like having both. Whatever. I like having them both. So I've got my gravity-fed filter. I've got my CovePure filter there. So it's like I'm in the past with one. I'm in the future with the other. I'm telling you, I can tell the difference. If I have 2 glasses of water, I have the refillable glass water bottles in my fridge. If I've got 2 sitting next to each other, I can taste the difference. I can tell when I'm drinking water from the CovePure system versus the water from the gravity-fed filter. It's not even close. The taste is distinguishably better. Distinguishably better. But don't trust me. Try it for yourself. Go to CovePure.com/Owen. CovePure.com/Owen. Take your water filtration to the future with CovePure water filtration systems. CovePure.com/Owen. All right, I'm going to do a quick audible here because I just heard from Kara Castronova with the Gateway Pundit and reporting for Lindell TV. Kara Castronova, she's been on the ground reporting on the January 6th pipe bomber, and there have been some crazy updates on this story. So I'm about to get her connected. In the meantime, I want to go to this report from Dr. Oz, as we're getting Kara Castronova connected here. I'm going to go to this report from Dr. Oz talking about breaking down the fraud that happened in Minnesota and what they've discovered, and I guess where the investigation will continue to go.
It's true. A Somali fraud ring in Minnesota stole over $1 billion from Medicaid. How did this happen? Well, Medicaid programs are run by the states, which in Minnesota means the Tim Walz administration. Governor Walz and the state's other Democrats rely on Somali votes to get elected, so they decided to look the other way because they were afraid of, quote-unquote, political backlash. Don't take my word for it. That's what a Somali-American fraud investigator told the New York Times. When these scammers realized that nobody was guarding the cash register, they went gangbusters. One program designed to provide housing stabilization assistance to patients ballooned to $104 million, when 4 years ago it was projected to cost only $2.6 million. Some of these taxpayer funds may have even ended up in the hands of a Somalian terrorist group. Scary stuff. When CMS became aware of the housing program situation, Minnesota insisted it could clean up its own mess. A few months ago, it admitted it could not. So we stepped in to shut down the fraud-infested housing initiative. Today, we're taking action on more than a dozen other programs, which I've outlined in the post below. Our message to Walz is clear. Either fix this in 60 days or start looking under your couch for spare change, because we are done footing the bill for your incompetence. This administration will never stop fighting to protect the vulnerable Americans who rely on these programs and the taxpayers who fund them. We're going to crush waste, fraud, and abuse.
Well, we're hearing a lot of that. We're hearing a lot about crushing waste, fraud, and abuse. How convinced are you that it's still going as planned, I'm wondering. That's a different story. So here's the deal. We're going to get Kara Castronova here on the show any second now. And, when they first announced that they had found the pipe bomber last week, we came on here and we said, all right, we broke down their press conference, the things that were said, the things that weren't said. And then they said there would be a series of details emerging after that. Now, this was almost a week ago now. And we have gotten some more details, and yet the same questions still remain. In fact, maybe more questions after we got the details. And a couple things of note here that I know Kara Castronova has brought up with her investigation, and obviously the Gateway Pundit and Lindell TV, where she's working right now. They've also been covering this story very, very closely. And so there were a lot of things that just didn't add up with the new details that were emerging. And so people were talking to the neighbors of this kid. They were talking to the family members of this kid. And I don't know if it's fair to call him a kid. I think he's 30 now. I guess he would have been 26 at the time. Maybe you can still call a 26-year-old a kid. This individual, Cole, does apparently have some form of autism, noticeable autism. He also has a noticeable, I don't know if you would say deformed body. I don't know if that's the right thing, but he has a noticeable different body type, we could say. He's a short guy, but even shorter legs. It's a very noticeable body type, which does not seem to describe the individual that we have on video, multiple videos, dropping the bombs. It just doesn't add up. Now, I suppose there's some room for error, and that's why I didn't really run with this out of the gates. It's one of those things, too. It's like I kind of first questioned it right out of the gates, but I said, well, let's wait and see about the details. Then I said, well, this guy does not look like the bomber. There's no other way to put it. He just doesn't look like the bomber. But still, maybe that's not enough to say I don't believe the story, there could be an excuse for that. But now there's been other testimony and other family members that have stepped forward, and new questions emerge. And so Kara Castronova is going to be joining us here from D.C., and it's actually funny. Kara, if you're ready, just nod your head. I'll put you on the screen here. All right, Kara Castronova joins me now. So, first of all, it's nice to see you. Whenever they go to the White House, it's nice to see your head in there, poking around, looking around. Sometimes you even get a question in. So it's really nice to have people like you in there asking questions, especially right now. And this is when I imagine it gets a little hard for you. It gets a little hard for outlets like Lindell TV or the Gateway Pundit, who you've worked for as well. I know it can get hard sometimes because we all want to support the administration. And they kind of want a team of support inside of there with the media that's been so against Donald Trump for 10 years, but still you have a job to do. So let's talk about the pipe bomber and the aftermath. What have you learned? I know that family members have stepped forward, even family members that you've talked to have been very emotional. What do we know about the pipe bomber or the family, the alleged suspect, I should say, the pipe bomb suspect? What do we know about this individual and the family right now that has you maybe asking some questions?
Well, the family has made it clear to me. Hold on a second. I'm having a repeat of here. Owen, it's okay. Hold on a second. Let me just take that out.
Go ahead. I got you. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Sorry about that, Owen. Just a little technical difficulty here at the White House. The family, for the most part, has said that he, obviously his family believes he's innocent, but I think it's coming from a genuine place. It's not your standard family that's saying innocent, innocent. I actually went and met with the grandmother, and I could read it all over her face. She's genuinely shocked. She has no idea what's going on. She said that her grandson works for her at this bail shop. He really is someone, she said, that's very simple-minded. That was, I guess, a nice way of saying he's autistic, that he works at the front desk, that his basic job description is just answering phones and doing basic paperwork, that he's not some sort of mastermind in any way, shape, or form. Other family members have reiterated the same thing, that they think he's being framed. Now, obviously, I don't know what the case is. I haven't spoken to the suspect himself, but, a lot of people are just suspicious. And really what it comes down to is that the FBI agent that interrogated this person was the FBI agent, or one of them, that really sort of forced false confessions out of certain Proud Boys like Jeremy Bertino. They're the ones who basically met with him off the record, which is illegal, as you know, and got him to say certain things about the Proud Boys and made them his star witness. So Jeremy Bertino has come out and said that he has committed perjury, that he did it to save himself. He's gone on the record and said this, and said it was the FBI agents basically that offered him this deal behind the scenes, really not on the record. And one of the FBI agents, actually one of the main FBI agents on this pipe bomb case, is the one who was interviewing Jeremy Bertino. Jocelyn Ballantine is the prosecutor on this case, the lead prosecutor. She is the lead prosecutor who railroaded the Proud Boys, who offered Enrique Tarrio a deal to lie and basically say that President Trump knew that the Proud Boys were going to be at January 6th through Roger Stone. And all you have to do is sign this here on this dotted line, Enrique, and you could go home today. That was what was told to him. That's what he told me. That's what he's come out and said that this prosecutor did. So these aren't trustworthy people, obviously, that are in control, that are in charge of this case. So it's a lot of moving parts with it. The family doesn't even know much about the pipe bomb mystery. When I've told them about it, like, they're completely unaware. I think they're doing their own research. From what I understand, he might even have an alibi. And again, I haven't spoken to him. This is just what his family is saying. They do remember being with him physically on January 6th. That being said, as you know, a lot of people suspect there were two people, or the pipe bomber went back that day because the bomb was touched. According to Loudermilk from the J6 committee, the bomb had 60 minutes on it. And now there's various stories about this, but one of the stories is that there was a timer on there, an egg timer, that had to have been readjusted the day of January 6th because it only had some time on it left when it was found. And according to his family, that he was with them that day. So, he wasn't accused of going back that day and resetting that pipe bomb. He was only accused, as far as I know, of being the hooded suspect wearing the Nike sneakers and the gray hoodie. So all of these questions need to be asked, I guess. Was he there on January 6th as well? Are they accusing him of that? As you know, Owen, or I'm not sure if you know that there were dog sniffers that came out on January 6th, and they completely missed the pipe bombs. And this led the committee to believe that maybe they were picked up the night before and then placed back the next day in some sort of training simulation. They really don't know. It sort of stumped people for 5 years. Loudermilk has always said that there's a possibility that law enforcement was involved. So I don't know the answers. I'm just asking questions, wanted to know what the president's instinct was on this, especially when it came to these Department of Justice individuals, these swamp creatures who really, really were out to frame him. They literally tried to get Proud Boys to frame him in his own seditious conspiracy trial.
Well, I know we have limited time with you, so I'm going to ask the most important questions in my eyes. And whenever you got to bounce, just bounce. Don't feel bad. Just tell me you got to go. So by your measurement, by talking to the family, it sounds like they don't believe that this suspect is guilty. They think he's innocent.
They think he's innocent, and I think they believe that if God only knows if he did place the pipe bombs, and they haven't said that, they think that somebody else possibly, they're like, it couldn't have been his own idea. There's just no way he would have thought of something like that by himself. It doesn't make sense. It's not in his character. He's really not political. There's been rumors going back and forth. Is he a Trump supporter or a leftist? From what I'm understanding from the family, he didn't really have any strong political, inklings or anything like that. But they're saying that for the most part, they don't believe he did it. And if there was any chance that he did, and they haven't even really gotten a chance to talk to him, by the way, then it was certainly not because he thought of the idea himself. There must have been other people involved. That's just kind of what they're leaning towards. And, very surprised that they're even talking to people. I'm sure that their lawyer has advised them not to do that, but they are really just, I found them to be wholesome, honest people that really just want to speak the truth and get out the truth about their son. Of course, the lawyers are saying don't talk to the media. They could have nefarious agenda, or you could say something that could hurt him in court. So they haven't even spoken to them. Most of the family members, as you know, when you get locked up in DC jail, it's very hard to get in touch with family members. He didn't even speak to a lawyer that day that he was interrogated and that he, quote unquote, confessed to certain things. They didn't even know he had been picked up, from what I understand. This is what the family told me, that he was walking to a 7-Eleven in the morning and they picked him up, and then they didn't even know he was gone until the FBI actually swarmed the house, and he was already talking at that point, from what I understand. So I know this sounds like a horrible thing to say, but like most people that have a certain level of intelligence know, just whether you're guilty or innocent, you don't talk to the FBI. If they pick you up and swipe you off the street, you don't immediately start confessing things or saying things. You just shut up. Like, that's just, to me, is a testament to that. Maybe what his grandmother is saying is true, that he is a simple-minded person, because that's just common sense, Owen. You don't talk to feds if they pick you up, whether you're guilty or innocent. You wait for a lawyer, or you at least consult with family members. So yes, that's the story that they've told me. And I will continue to try to, because I'm in the DC area, they all live in an hour or two from here, to try to make contact with them and talk to them, maybe even visit with this person when he's, able to receive visitors in prison. He has a bail hearing, I believe. He has a hearing to find out they're going to hold him pretrial this coming Monday at 1:30. So hopefully more evidence will be presented here, what the government has. They said they were going to release some discovery, I guess the quote unquote confession tapes. They're going to release some videos and whatnot on a hard drive. This is what they told the judge when I was in the courtroom. So I guess the lawyers right now are just really trying to put together the case and really understand all the elements of it, because they're very unfamiliar just in general with all the reporting that's come out on this case, that Steve Baker did, for example, that Julie Kelly has done, that I have done, that Gateway Pundit has done, that you've done. They're really just not aware of any of it. So I think that, they really need to familiarize themselves with these things and ask for this discovery. If this does go to trial, there was a rumor that he was going to plea bargain. His grandmother said that's not the case. But again, you never know when you're scared what you might have to do or not do. But I would like to see this go to trial, obviously, and see what evidence is out there. And hopefully his lawyer asks for some really good discovery, especially about the day of January 6th, where, as you know, there was no detection of those bombs outside of the outside of the RNC and the DNC. And also, interestingly, it seemed like federal agents or cops knew exactly where to go and pick these things up. They weren't really concerned about them. They were eating lunch. They literally waited some minutes before alerting the public and removing these bombs. So it seems like they knew that they were duds. So all of these questions maybe can actually be answered through this trial, if it does go to trial. But I think they'll probably pressure him to plead because they don't want any of these facts emerging.
Well, and that's how federal prosecutors always act. And so they're going to go for massive charges. They'll probably try to even hit him with like assassination of the vice president or something. But I guess we'll find out next Monday, which again brings into the question of the real bomb. But for the sake of time, so the FBI, the public statements that they've made, they seem overwhelmed with evidence that this is their guy. I mean, they're coming out with the utmost confidence that this is their guy. But what you've described is behavior of definitely not a criminal mastermind, definitely not somebody that's autistic. That is until after the fact goes down. Did I hear you correctly? They brought him in and he confessed before even talking to a lawyer?
That's what his family told me. The lawyer, from what I understand, and I met the lawyer briefly, flew down that night for the hearing the following morning. So he was not there that day. From what I understand, this all happened without an attorney present. So it's very interesting. And, that was confirmed by his family. But again, I wasn't in the room. I can't say for sure. I'm just saying what his family said. But I do know that they had described to me that they were getting a lawyer that was coming down from New York, I believe, and also one from Georgia that would be arriving for the actual hearing that was on Friday. So as far as I know, these individuals were not there when he, quote unquote, confessed. Whatever he said, I don't know, because that hasn't come out yet, or at least details of that hasn't come out. But I believe he sat for almost 4 hours, again, with FBI agents that are notorious for getting people to say things that aren't true to, quote unquote, save themselves, like Jeremy Bertino, and tried to do this with Enrique Tarrio and get him to literally lie and frame the president of the United States. It's just crazy. And this Jocelyn Ballantine person who literally was in charge of prosecuting or part of the team prosecuting General Flynn, these aren't trustworthy agents. These aren't trustworthy Department of Justice individuals. And a lot of people are wondering why they even still have jobs and why they're handling a case as important as the pipe bomber case and possibly the last J6 case that we'll ever see.
Well, don't even get me started of who's handling the most important cases right now. It seems that they're not sending the right people in for that. But that aside, did his family note any behavior about January 4th or 5th or 6th that may have been off? Because you'd think if he had done this, that his behavior in his personal life would probably reflect that he felt nervous or there was something else going on. Did they ever express any of that to you?
No, they're just completely shocked. They said there was no hint, no nothing. Like they're just absolutely shocked. Like they're just completely shocked again. And he lives in his mother's basement. His mother is, they're a very close-knit family. When I was sitting in the courtroom, I was in the row right in front of them. There was about 10 or 15 of them, and you could really feel like they're a close family. They were shouting, "We love you, Brian," as he came in, as he left. So these are people that really do hang out with each other. The grandmother, he works in her office. He's with her every day. She said she even takes him to buy clothes, that he wears Crocs and shorts with socks. He doesn't wear these type of fancy sneakers that the pipe bomber person that was seen was wearing. This is just what she said. He doesn't do any of his own shopping, really. It's just completely baffling to her how they're saying these things. So I don't know. He literally works at a desk right next to her every single day. She said she's with him, and he lives with his mother, who I guess probably knows the majority of his whereabouts at all times because he does live with her. And it seems, like I said, like they're a close-knit family. So they're just completely shocked. They said it's out of character. It makes no sense. It doesn't seem like something he would think about. It's nothing he's ever spoken about to them. And they're just completely shocked and saying he's innocent. Again, taking it with a grain of salt. Most families would probably assume somebody was innocent, but there's something very genuine about the way that they're saying it and the way that they're just so open with speaking to people like me. Most people, I just feel like when they're, I don't know, it's something.
One thing if they didn't have, it seems like they have daily interactions with the suspect, right? I mean, multiple every day. They see this guy virtually. They talk to him every day. So it's not like you're talking to somebody that maybe talks to him once a week or sees him once a month or something. These are people that are involved in his daily life, his everyday life. Is that right?
Right. And, the grandmother said she actually helps him shop and she's with him all the time. So yes.
So yeah, it's like, I mean, it's not implausible or obviously not impossible, but it's like you're describing somebody that doesn't sound like they're going out on their own accord to purchase materials to make an explosive device. If they're going out to shop for Crocs with their grandmother, it just doesn't add up. Again, it doesn't mean it's impossible or even implausible,
Right.
but it certainly is a glaring thing. Now, here's another one, and I think I saw you point this out. I'm seeing other people point this out. Now, again, the FBI is coming out with utmost confidence here, and we expect that, but they're presenting this to the American people like they have all the evidence, and when you see it, you're going to be convinced. Well, they're going to be in for an interesting, I think, an interesting attempt to close this with the American people as these other questions emerge, because now it appears that some of the items that were purchased before the election even happened, Kara.
Right.
So
Yeah,
how does that fit into the narrative if he's buying the materials for this before the election was even stolen?
right. He purchased them, I believe, as far back as 2019, like certain components, like 9-volt battery wires, I guess they're saying, and a pipe. I even believe I saw that they said he purchased an egg timer face after the planting, saying, oh, he was still purchasing things after the fact, but nothing really like in the context of, because now they're saying he said that he believes the election was stolen and that he was a Trump supporter. And again, I don't know if that's true.
Everybody thinks it's stolen. It's like you could walk
Right.
in any room and ask him that. That doesn't mean anything necessarily.
Right. So now, but none of it really lines up because all of these things were purchased spaced months and months before, like in June and October in 2019. So all of the lists of stuff that he allegedly purchased at Home Depot and other places, it just seems like, they weren't purchased together. I don't know what the intent was on purchasing these could be called normal household items, like a pipe, like batteries. I don't think that there's any proof about the powder that was in this. They have no, I don't remember reading anything about that on the indictment. So the majority of the things they have proof that he purchased or are saying they have proof are regular household items that would be used to build a pipe bomb.
And again, some of this purchased before the election, some of this
Well before.
some of this apparently purchased after the bomb is laid there. This is, I got to tell you, they kind of took a victory lap early on this, Kara, and we all wanted to kind of go along with it. And now questions remain. I don't know. I don't want to put you on the spot here. I'll do that after you leave. But you're doing great work. I know that I know that Lindell TV is in there doing great work. I know that the Gateway Pundit is in there doing great work, and I know that the media inside of those rooms in the White House has changed quite a bit. Try your best to avoid any hot shots from President Trump. All right, just kind of.
I will.
I know you were standing right there. Who is that? Who is that lady that he just grilled? Who did he tear apart today?
I believe that was a reporter from ABC.
Oh man,
a reporter from ABC. So yeah, it's like, you don't want to be in the line of fire. And I was nervous. I'm not going to lie about the question today.
I saw you. I saw you. Well, first of all, there was a shot. You don't know there because you were in there. I was watching it. And Trump is sitting there ripping this ABC reporter a new one. And you kind of lean over like, uh-oh, like you wanted to see the flesh getting torn off of her face. It was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's interesting being here. And you never, like with the question I had today, I didn't know how that would be received either. It could have gone wrong, so I was glad that he knew who Jocelyn Valentine was. It seemed like he knew that name. I don't think it was just for me saying it. So it's reassuring, I think, that at least that name is on his radar. Especially because she is the one who literally tried to frame him, according to Enrique Tarrio. So, the president, in my opinion, should get rid of her. I mean, for lack of I think we all could agree on that. So, the Department of Justice is certainly one of the most swampy places on the planet. Really hard to, I guess, get rid of all these people at once, but there still remains a lot of people in there that really need to go, Owen.
All right, a lot of questions on this story. We're going to keep asking them. We're going to follow you and your reporting for this as well. One more thing before I let you go. I appreciate you spending extra time with us here. Is Mike Lindell going to run for governor? Is it going down? Can we get the exclusive? Come on now.
It looks like it's happening. I don't want to say for sure. I'll leave that up to Mike, but he loves the state of Minnesota. He loves election integrity. And, he it's something that's really important to him, being able to fix the state of Minnesota. So I think it's happening. And we're excited about it. So I'll leave that up to him. I think the announcement's going to come in the next day or two for sure. The 100% announcement.
All right, Kara. Appreciate your time. Kara Casanova with Lindell TV and Gateway Pundit. Thanks for breaking in here and giving us some extra time today.
Thanks, Owen. Have a good day. Night.
All right, we're going to continue to follow this. Again, when we broke that story, or when the story was breaking, we were covering it. I said, all right, we'll listen to the details. And I said, I'm not necessarily trusting everything they're saying, but we're gonna wait and see, and they can make their case, and we'll go from there. But I would say since the arrest of the suspect has been made, and since they did that very brief press conference, which they explained why was brief, I said we'll wait and see what they present. We'll go from there. And since then, it's been a lot of saying what they have. Now they're gonna have to show it, but I got to be honest, folks. This is where we're at now. This is where we're at. And if you heard Bongino last week, he said, eventually I'm going to go back to my podcast audience. He said that. He said that. So to me, the most pressure here is on Bongino. I think the most pressure is on Bongino, and I think he feels it. And I think he's paying the heaviest price right now, too. I do. But now you're looking at a situation here, folks, where people don't believe anything from this Department of Justice or FBI now. And I know a lot of that has to do with the reputation of these departments, these bureaucracies. So a lot of that is just reputational damage that as soon as you step in and you wear that badge, that you just immediately lose probably half of your trust. But I mean, just look at the aftermath with the Charlie Kirk assassination. Nobody's really believing that. And I see the debate raging on, continues to rage on. And there's plenty of reasons to be suspicious. And I just sit here and I've just been saying the same thing for a month or more now. I've been saying the same thing. Because, you follow my work. I went really heavy on this in the first month. And then I said, all right, let's see what happens. And when there's breaking news, I'll bring it to you. Obviously, I don't believe the official narrative. It's hard to sell something that's implausible. It's already hard when you're an untrustworthy organization. It's hard to sell something that's implausible, but it's even harder to sell something that's impossible. And right now, what they're selling on the Charlie Kirk assassination is impossible. Folks, we're starting to get there with this January 6th pipe bomber case, too. And so, again, it's all about evidence at the end of the day. And I've been saying the same thing for 2 months now. Hey, if you want people to stop questioning if Tyler Robinson is the official shooter, then put out the video that you had 2 months ago, that you had 3 months ago. Put out the video of him taking the shot. Because now what's going to happen is, if they do put out that video 3 months later, 4 months later, 5 months later, whenever it is, I think the Robinson case is January 12th. Let's say they put it out then. Nobody's going to believe it now. You understand? If they decide 4 months after that they're going to give you the full video, not just Tyler running across the roof in an edited video, but if they decide 4 months later we're going to give you the full video with him taking the shot, people are just going to say it's AI. They're just not going to believe it, and it's going to be that way. And how can you blame them? Why would they hold the video for 4 months and then just tell everybody to believe the impossible story and then put it out? And by the way, that's going to be a larger issue with AI. That's going to be a larger issue with AI, that people are just going to have problems with trust. It's not just going to be this case. So, okay. So that's kind of hanging around. That's still hanging around. And now there's this. And this one is only getting worse. You're probably going to hear more from the family. You're probably going to hear more as far as how this whole thing went down. Like, really? You get a confession before he even talks to a lawyer? Well, I guess that makes sense. And again, not to be rude, but if he has a mental problem, if he's severely autistic or has a learning disorder or whatever, then yeah, you can easily get somebody to confess. And he's not even thinking about a lawyer. Again, does this sound like a criminal mastermind? Does this sound like somebody who's escaping law enforcement for 4 years, folks? What if the FBI left a trail of breadcrumbs? What if the last FBI left a false trail of breadcrumbs right to this guy for whatever reason? These are the questions that are going to be asked. The body type doesn't match up. Maybe there's a reason for that. He could have worn shoulder pads or something. He could have thought, oh, I'm going to walk differently today or whatever. Okay. Maybe there's a way around the body type not lining up and the strides and the gait not lining up. Okay. It's going to be more than that. It's going to be way more questions than that. And if you never hear from this guy, then it's going to be even worse. It's going to be even worse. I got to tell you, it doesn't look good. I got to tell you, folks, it does not look good. So here's now what's going to happen. If the conclusion reached by the majority is that they don't believe this is the pipe bomber, if that is the conclusion that is reached, because you notice the FBI, they've all gone silent on the Kirk assassination. They've all gone silent. They did the one fake press conference, and then that's it. They've all gone silent. So now it's just media. Now it's just the media campaign, and it's just media. There's really nothing from the administration or from the bureaucracies, the investigators at this point. They've gone totally silent. But how are you going to avoid now answering these questions about the dates of the purchases not lining up with the actual events? The personality in question doesn't line up with a character personality of somebody that would pull off this crime. The family doubting it. Maybe he has an alibi now. So now what's going to happen? If people reach the same conclusions, maybe the Charlie Kirk assassination, maybe they can still bring that one home. They've gone silent, so maybe they can still bring that one home. But if they don't bring that one home and then they don't bring this one home, what conclusions are people going to start reaching about the FBI, the DOJ, and the administration at large? I don't think they understand the damage on the outside. I really don't. I think that D.C. is trapped. I think that this administration is living in a bubble. I think that they're trapped. And I don't think they're getting the incoming that we all see. There's something blocking it. Call it, maybe it's supernatural. Maybe there's a demonic force over D.C. that's keeping this stuff out. Maybe it's just Susan Wiles. Maybe it's as simple as that. But they seem so out of touch. They seem so out of touch. That's why I listen to Bongino talking about, I'm going to go back to my podcast audience. And I'm just kind of like, dude, I'm rooting for you, Dan. But I don't know if you realize what's going to happen at this state if you go back to your audience. The same crap that you see on X when you post that has triggered you before. And I think Dan might have, like many people in media, there's a combo factor. There's an ego, and then there's an anger issue. Now, I don't know Dan like that, but I've seen it in media before. And I've seen what happens when an audience turns on the host, even on a single issue. I've seen what happens. I don't know if Dan fully understands what's going on outside of the DC bubble right now, folks. And that's not a knock on Dan. He could be buried working on things and covered up by the DC bubble. If they don't convince the American people that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk, which now it's over. They'll never be able to do that. Even if it's true, it's too late. I think it's too late. I think they've waited too long. And now this? What conclusions are people going to start reaching about this administration, folks? It's not good. It's not good. And that's why I've said, even if I like J.D. Vance, and he's considered the front runner right now, I don't know if anybody in this administration will be electable because of the things that are going to be discussed, the conclusions that are going to be reached at the end of it. You're just going to be unelectable. You're going to be unelectable. And this brings us to Marjorie Taylor Greene on 60 Minutes. Now, maybe I'll reach this conclusion after we play these clips. But remember what I said. I have to go back and check the date and check the tapes. But if you listen to the show, you listen every day, you know what I'm talking about. Remember what I said when Trump decided to attack Marjorie Taylor Greene. I said it was a huge mistake from Trump. Who's ever advising him to do this is a fool. Or he did it on his own accord, probably more likely. Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's right. It doesn't matter if Trump thinks he's the bigger name, the bigger personality, more popular. Doesn't matter. Because the only thing that matters now is that you have now opened up the chinks in the armor for Marjorie Taylor Greene to strike through. That's the only thing that matters. The cult of personalities, the loyalty test, the politics of it, none of that matters. All that matters is now you have opened up the chinks in the armor and you've given somebody the sword to strike you through. And that's Marjorie Taylor Greene. And that's what's happened. And so now she goes on 60 Minutes. Oh, man. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Honestly, it's wild to me. Again, it's the DC bubble. I don't know how you explain it. Just Trump, and I know he makes up his own mind at the end of the day, but it's like, how did somebody not say, hey, Mr. Trump, Mr. President, maybe think twice. Maybe just take a couple days. Don't go after Marjorie yet. Maybe just think about it for a couple days. Let some other stuff come across your consciousness, your news wire, and then maybe you'll forget about it and move on, because it's just there's nothing positive that comes of this. There's nothing positive that comes from attacking Marjorie, and then that opens her up to become an enemy. Just don't. Let's just maybe not do it. And just as I predicted, I guess Susie Wiles didn't tell him that one, huh? I guess Susie Wiles wasn't witty enough. I guess Susie Wiles didn't have the U.S. body politic understanding enough to understand what was going to happen after that, huh? I guess Susie Wiles isn't doing the best job to protect President Trump, is she? Somehow I saw it. Little old me. So here it is then. Just like I warned, as soon as Trump would attack Marjorie, now the chinks in the armor are wide open, and Marjorie Taylor Greene now has the sword to strike through. So guess what? To nobody's surprise, they invited her on 60 Minutes. Let's hear about some of the stuff she had to say. None of that had to happen on 60 Minutes. None of it. And it all did because of Donald Trump's own decisions, his own actions. That didn't have to happen. And now millions of people that would have never thought about those things, and millions of people that would have never juxtaposed these phenomenons happening at the same time, now they are. And now they're saying that's strange. None of this had to happen. And where's Susie Wiles? Where's Susie Wiles to stop this? Nowhere. I think those comments speak for themselves. So we'll just move on here.
Behind the scenes.
Now, this is an interesting one for me. And I'm so over DC. I'm so over the DC culture, the political culture. But, as somebody that's kind of been there, not to the extent as others, but, I've been there. I wouldn't say I've done that, but I've been there. So it's not the been there, done that, but I've been there. And I can tell you exactly what she's talking about here, folks. In the first Trump administration, if you were a Trump supporter or MAGA hat wearer, whatever in DC, everybody made fun of you. It was a culture shock, and it kind of became this like attitude era MAGA takeover where it was like, screw them all. It was like, yeah, we knew the Republicans hated us. Yeah, we knew the Democrats hated us too, but we knew the Republicans hated us. Folks, I would go to these events. And you may recall, if you were following InfoWars, because Alex used to make some references to this on air. But, he'd send me to DC and we'd do some work there. And I think Alex at one point before they well, I don't know what's going on over there now, but before they tried to take all of his money and shut his company down, he wanted to have a DC bureau. He wanted to have an InfoWars DC, and he wanted me to go. And I think he knew I was never going to do that. He kind of floated it around, and he thought about having some other people do it. And then the legal stuff and the censorship and everything happened. And I think it kind of all just faded away in the process. I don't know what goes over there anymore. But my point is that it was very known that when you went into DC, it didn't matter if you were at a right-wing event, a left-wing event. If you were a Trump supporter, everybody hated you. And I wanted nothing to do with it. And I used to tell stories. And by the way, it's the same reason why Alex doesn't go to DC, folks. And I remember I used to tell stories. When I first got to DC into the political world, and I got invited to events and different events and different things and parties and everything. And I'd show up and I would always be the butt of the jokes. I'm the conspiracy theorist from Texas. I'm the crazy guy from InfoWars. I'm the stupid redneck Trump supporting red hat wearing moron. It didn't matter where I went. That was always the attitude. And maybe you could sense some of that coming through my reports when I would be in DC. But that was always the attitude. Oh, I'd go to conservative events, Republican events, same thing. And it'd be the same thing. Highbrow, thumb their nose at you. They didn't want us around. So that's when it kind of became this attitude era of we're going to have our own events. So we started having our own balls. We took over Trump International. We took over local bars like Harry's. There became this counterculture in DC. It was like we didn't want to be a part of your stuffy political events. So we said, F you, and we started doing our own events. But that was the culture, folks. It was that they didn't want MAGA. The DC culture, they didn't want MAGA around. They pushed us out of all their normal places. They pushed us out of all their events. That's why we had our own thing. It's probably why Don Jr. bought that club. It's the same thing. Because all their stuffy, thumb their nose at you clubs suck. And they didn't want us around. So that's what she's describing. All of these people hated Trump, folks. They hated Trump. That's what drives me mad about this. That's why, quite frankly, Donald Trump, the president of the United States, sucks right now. Because he'd rather ride with Lindsey Graham than Marjorie Taylor Greene. He'd rather ride with Mark Levin than Alex Jones. That's why Trump sucks. That's why it's so heartbreaking. He didn't have to do that. He did. And now here we are. More wars, more foreign aid, more bullshit. That's what is so frustrating. It's like, dude, we went out there and changed DC's culture. We went out there and suffered immensely because we thought this was a movement. We thought this was something bigger. In a way, we thought this was a political revolution. And then now here we are in the second administration. It's Lindsey Graham. Here we are in the second administration, and it's war in Venezuela. More money for Israel. More money for Ukraine. And we're just like, what the hell? And then Marjorie Taylor Greene is the traitor? It's like, dude, we went into the swamp and changed the culture. We went into the swamp and changed the world. Okay, they stole an election. You could say that he let them get away with it. Whatever. Okay, it all happened. And we came back. And we came back after the imprisonment. And we came back after the lawsuits. And we came back after the assaults. And we came back after the shutdown. And we came back. And now it's you kicking us out? And now it's you telling us to get out of here after we watched for 4 years the Republicans stab you in the back? The Washington, D.C. conservatives make fun of you for 4 straight years, and we stood there and we said, fuck you? Everything she described there is true, folks. And then this was an interesting exchange between her and Stahl, Leslie Stahl, who's a big joke, by the way, herself. Here's an interesting exchange.
It's the most toxic political.
You know, I will say this. It's not fair because I understand what Leslie is saying. And it's, hey, you know what? Both sides are to blame for the hyperpolarization. Both sides are to blame for how intense politics are right now. I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I'll accept that. But let's make a very important clarification. In fact, let's make the only important clarification if we're going to agree to this. We're going to agree that both sides played their role in this, which I think is an acceptable agreement. There needs to be one important clarification made right now, which is there is a huge difference between people on the left lying for 10 straight years and people on the right saying the hard truths. Big difference. Let's be perfectly clear. Hey, you want to say the right wing is as responsible for the intensity in modern day politics? You want to say that? I'll accept that. Okay. That's fair. It takes two to tango. There's two sides of this coin. All right, I'll accept that. But don't sit here and tell me that the left lying for 10 years is the same as the right deciding to tell the truth for 10 years. Don't tell me those two things are equal. They are not even close to equal. So no, turning up the pressure by telling the truth is a completely different phenomenon than turning up the pressure by telling nothing but lies and deception and gaslighting and propaganda for 10 straight years. No. These two things are not the same, Leslie. So anyway, President Trump hammers MTG with a massive post on Truth Social. It's not even worth reading. It's just an insult campaign now. So Marjorie Taylor Greene strikes back. I warned you, President Trump, but Susie Wiles didn't. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm America first. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And it shows the money that Trump takes from the Israeli lobby, over $230 million. Donald Trump has taken over $230 million from the Israeli lobby. Marjorie Taylor Greene, $0. None of this had to happen. Trump, there are so many chinks in your armor. There are so many weaknesses in this administration. But when the liberals attack you for it, it doesn't stick. But now you've given yourself all the openings, and you've given the sword to Marjorie Taylor Greene. And none of this had to happen. And if you had a good advisor if you had a good advisor in there, none of this would have happened. But you don't. You have Susie Wiles, a traitor, is what you have. So now here you are. Now all the chinks are open, and now you've given Marjorie Taylor Greene the sword. And none of it had to happen, President Trump. None of it had to happen. And now MTG is really starting to show the receipts here. MTG says she was denied security detail despite 773 death threats. By the way, that is a number because she actually went and showed the receipts for all of them, by the way, including the same stuff that's happened to me, the fake pizza deliveries, the doxing, the mailing of the death threats. She goes on. She shows more receipts here. She posts them on her social media. I'll give you a glimpse of what it's been like since I joined Congress January 3rd, 2021, leading the fight on key Republican issues for President Trump. 773 death threats to Capitol Police. Those are the ones she's reported, ones she has receipts on. It goes on. And she shows the receipts. She goes on and on. This is what we did. This is what we all went through for years for President Trump, and he just throws you overboard as soon as it's convenient for him. I don't know how else to explain it, folks. I really don't. Look, you get into a tiff, you get into a fight. Okay, that happens. You want to address it publicly? Okay, that's your prerogative. But this is more than that. This is telling your base that you don't want them anymore. This is telling the people that suffered the most to support you that you don't need them anymore. Get lost. Taylor Greene shows the mail that gets sent to her house. This is a envelope that had a syringe in it. Said infect Marjorie Taylor Greene on it. This is what the Trump supporters continue to suffer through to this day. And Trump just tells us he doesn't care. And then Pam Bondi says, "Oh, we're going to go after the organizations. We're going to go after the funders and the organizers of this." And then what do we get? Nothing. We get a fake list from a leaked memo. And a bunch of cover-ups. That's what we get now. You know, maybe it's our own fault. Maybe we should have known better. But either way, here we are. Jasmine Crockett. Apparently, she's going to run for Senate. I expect this to happen. Jasmine Crockett scrambles Democrats as she weighs a last-minute Texas Senate run. Now, the individual that was going to be running has decided he's going to not run. That's Colin Allred. So he won't be running. Now, here's what I see happening. They know they're not going to win this race. Okay? The Democrats know they're not going to win this race. And That's why Allred is stepping out. And I'd say Paxton is it's a pretty solid case. Paxton is going to win. I'd say he's like a 95% chance Paxton wins this deal. And that'll be good. So the others are dropping out because they don't want to run a losing race. Now, here's the situation with Crockett. You have to understand how Democrat Party politics works. And Crockett plays the ghetto biatch role, but she's actually very well educated. She comes from a very well-endowed family as far as money is concerned. She went to some of the fanciest schools in St. Louis. So she is well-educated. She pretends that she's a ghetto biatch, but she's actually very well-educated. So she knows what she's doing. Democrats fail up, in case you haven't noticed. It's a trend in the Democrat Party. You fail upwards. So that's what Jasmine Crockett is here to do. She's here to fail upwards. So it looks like the redistricting in Texas is going to happen. And Crockett, who's already, I think, facing an uphill battle to retain her seat in the House, she figures there's no point in me running a race in the House and losing or potentially losing now that it's a different district. And there's a pretty solid candidate running against her. Sheldon Daniels is just one of them, but that's going to be a tough matchup just against Sheldon. But she already knew with the redistricting and a tough matchup and her antics that that might have been a tough battle for her to win that race. So instead, she is going to, instead of lose a House race, she's going to lose a Senate race. And this will be much better for her political career. So I see this as a career move that she might even rather lose a Senate race than win a House race. Think Beto O'Rourke. Beto O'Rourke, exact same game plan. And then what happened? He lost a Senate race, he lost a governor's race, and he made more money than he ever had in his life doing it. At one time, the Beto O'Rourke Senate race was the most well-funded, spent the most money on Beto O'Rourke's Senate campaign than any other campaign in American politics. Now, that was 3 election cycles ago, so I think that number's been beaten now. But that's how you do it. Beto said, I would rather lose a Senate race than win a House race because I'll make more money and I'll get a higher profile in doing so. And he did exactly that. And then he tried to run a governor's race. He didn't win, but he still got the same thing. The major funding, the profiles, the newspaper covers, the news magazine covers. See how it works? Jasmine Crockett is taking the Beto O'Rourke failing forward option. Now, that doesn't guarantee election victories, but it guarantees more funding. It guarantees a bigger profile. And so that's what she's looking at. Now, I don't know where she wants to land, but this is Crockett saying, I would rather lose a Senate race than win or lose a House race because it'll be better for my political career. So that's what I see happening here. Now, on the gerrymandering, just to put things into perspective, Tim Burchett points this out. You want to talk about Democrat gerrymandering? Massachusetts, 36% Republican voter turnout, 0 House seats. Connecticut, 42% Republican voter turnout, 0 seats. Maybe I should correct this. So when I'm saying these percentages, that's the percentage of the state that votes Republican. Let me make sure that's clear. Maine, 46% vote Republican, 0 House seats. New Mexico, 46% vote Republican, 0 House seats. New Hampshire, 48% vote Republican, 0 House seats. Rhode Island, 42% vote Republican, 0 House seats. Vermont, 32% vote Republican, 0 House seats. Hawaii, 38% vote Republican, 0 House seats. Delaware, 42% vote Republican, 0 House seats. That's Democrat gerrymandering right there. Are Republicans about to do it too? Yes. Yes, they are. Both parties do it, but nobody does it like Democrats. The Republicans are like a 1 out of 10 on the scale of gerrymandering. Republicans are a 1 out of 10. Democrats are a 10 out of 10 on the scale of gerrymandering, a 10 out of 10. And if you've been following my work for years, I've explained exactly how they do this, folks. They have it down to a science. You think, well, how could a New Hampshire or a New Mexico or a Maine or any of these states, but these ones with the highest percentage of Republicans that vote, How could you have these states with more than 45% that vote Republican and 0 House seats? How is that even possible? Because the way they gerrymander, folks, they have the best voter analysis data in the world, the Democrats do. And they rig these seats so that the Republicans can't win a single one. They're masters at gerrymandering. Don't let anybody fool you. Don't let anybody fool you. And now Trump is angry at Henry Cuellar because he bailed him out, and now he's running again as a Democrat. This is insane. So first of all, it's insane enough that Trump bailed Cuellar out. Somebody gave him bad intel. I don't understand why that is. And then the story is that Cuellar's children pulled at Donald Trump's heartstrings, and that's how he got the pardon. Makes sense. The kids are calling, sending letters, begging, all right, Trump, he's a family man. He tugs at the heartstrings. All right, I'm letting him out. And then Cuellar says, after Trump bails him out, I'm going to run again, and I'm going to run as a Democrat. And Trump is pissed, and he's saying, how can he do this to me? Well, first of all, Trump, you should have never trusted a Democrat, let alone a politician. And again, whoever gave you the advice to pardon this guy is giving you bad advice. But here's the other thing that apparently Trump doesn't understand. He has to run as a Democrat. He has to. You can't run as a Republican and win in Southern Texas. You can't run as a Republican and win in these border cities. You just can't do it. So Republicans run as Democrats. And Cuellar came out and said it. He goes, I'm a conservative Democrat. No, you're a Republican that runs as a Democrat because it's the only way you can win. So the whole thing is discombobulated. The whole thing is out of control. But that'll be fun. I don't know if he's even electable. He's pardoned by the president, and he's running as a Democrat. I don't know if that's even electable, but that'll be a fun one to watch, won't it? And then Trump's going to sit there and say, oh my gosh, a crook, a criminal is untrustworthy? A criminal that I let out of jail is untrustworthy and stabbed me in the back? Oh my gosh, I'm stunned. Oh, wow. Who is advising you, Mr. President? How did you think otherwise? And again, why isn't somebody in your ear before you fire off a 2-page Truth Social post, a 2-pager? Soon to be Truth AI, by the way. Trump has announced Truth AI. I'm sure he'll get some nice government money for that startup too. Truth AI for President Trump. How did somebody not tell you, President Trump, before you crashed out on Henry Cuellar, that you have to run as a Democrat? Nobody even runs as a Republican. It's not even worth the time or the money to run as a Republican. Why didn't somebody tell you, hey, hold on, Mr. President, he has to run as a Democrat to win? Why didn't anybody stop the president from crashing out on that? Where are your advisors, Mr. President? Somebody is failing you, President Trump. And at the end of the day, I guess that somebody is you. But maybe that depends on what the measurement of success and failure is with this administration. It's becoming a little unclear. Wow. We left a lot on the desk today. I got to tell you, we left a lot on the desk today. We did call an audible by getting Kara Castronova on, so that was kind of necessary. But I'd say we left about 20 or 30 minutes on the desk today. So we'll have some leftovers for tomorrow. We still had some leftovers from this weekend. Tomorrow may be a very leftover-oriented show. But nonetheless, we'll take a 21-hour break, and we'll be right back here. Same time, same place tomorrow. God bless and Godspeed.